it's baseball. You know, I mean, like the first pitch can't. You know, it's not that big a deal. And like at the same thing, I went to Wrigley Field with my dad and my brother, and we were like, we didn't have tickets. We just went down. We were like, we're either gonna hang out.
It's what I said is, like it has to be
right.
done at 7:17. I got a little try to start. Shit, Jack.
I don't know. There's another one. 2-0. Okay. Well, that's really that's exciting for me.
That's what.
See if we can figure out what the hell's wrong. Oh, that'll do. That's definitely why. All right, well. Yeah, I guess we're... Ooh, I don't like that.
Ooh. There you are, sir.
Check. All right, is that better? There we go. That's a lot better. Okay.
Now you're there.
There we go. Oh, and now I'm coming through both, you fucking cocksucking piece of shit. Why am I coming through two interfaces now, you bitch? Oh, because I set them both. Because I set them both to the same thing. You stupid bitch. I'm so stupid, dude.
That'll happen.
That's not what we wanted at all. There we go. That's better. What the fuck is coming through there?
Oh, is it a game?
I don't fucking know what's going on, dude. My OBS is being so weird right now. I have no idea what's happening. I mean, it's a fitting end to a perfect day. I had such a great day.
Yeah.
There was no way I was coming home
and having everything go.
Then everything on the podcast is going to go perfect. So I started my day. You know how if you get a double yolk,
yeah,
it's supposed to be good luck?
Right.
So I made 2 eggs this morning, and I cracked the first one. Boom, double yolk. I'm like, holy shit, cracked the second one. Another double yolk. I had
does that like
yolk.
Reverse it though?
No, I think it doubled the good luck. I had a double good luck. 3-0. Wow.
3-0. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's no way statistically that I was gonna get away with coming back
and having it all just
there's
fall
just no
into
way
place again.
Yeah. Plus, anybody that watches the podcast on a regular basis, first of all, shout out to all you guys. It's insane that you do that. But they know that I always joke about how something goes wrong in every single podcast. Sometimes it's tiny.
Sometimes it's major.
Like tonight, I apologize for us being late, you guys. We had technical difficulties, and it wasn't just me being fucking late or whatever. We were actually pretty good about time today.
Yeah, I think we were actually. Yeah.
No, it was quite literally because I could not get the game to come up. That's what was really going on. All right. It's up. I'm copying the link. I'm going to share it.
Oh, yes. Do that.
I'm going to send it to you.
Okay.
And then we can both share it on Facebook.
I should do that as well.
There's nobody watching right now anyways. We just started. I looked at the thing, so. Here's Glenn. There you go, buddy. All right, there's your link. Now I'm going to throw it up online. Throw it up on the Ubes. Or on the faces. One of the two. I don't fucking know what we're doing here. Fucking Twins are already up 3-0.
3-0.
And dude seems like he's throwing some fucking white hot heat too, so that's that old proof that a rocket arm doesn't actually do you any good. I mean, yeah, look at that 95.
Yeah, but they said he had only thrown like 5 strikes or something.
Yeah, right. That's what I'm saying. Like having a rocket arm is fucking useless sometimes if you can't place it.
Locate. Yeah.
Where's my Facebook? Oh, here it is. What are you drinking over there? You're not drinking booze. What are you drinking?
No, I'm drinking this like tea that's brewed with hops in it, so it's kind of like.
So you get all the good stuff without any of the bad stuff.
Yeah, and with caffeine for some reason. Well, because tea has fucking caffeine in it, I guess, is probably the reason. Put that up there. Shared to Facebook, it says. The Royals are an interesting team, man. Like, it was only... 2015 they won the World Series?
Yeah.
And I mean, like, just crash and burn from there, pretty much.
No, I agree.
Just crash and burn with the, like, but with the consistent, like, if these guys come up to the majors and pan out, like, that's the thing I get so sick of hearing in baseball, is just the prospect thing. And I mean, you got to understand, like, as a Twins fan, that's your whole life. All
pretty
you've
much,
heard about, all we've ever heard about is like, no, don't worry. Don't worry, when Royce Lewis gets here, everything's going to be fine. When Byron Buxton gets here, everything's going to be fine. Well, you know, they won't trade him. They don't play
Miguel
him.
Sano. The list goes on. The last two that actually panned out were Mauer and Morneau. And then Morneau fucking suddenly literally hit his head a couple times, really hard. Yeah. He hit his head a couple times, and all of a sudden he's like couldn't play baseball anymore. Mm-hmm. He still stayed, and I think, where did he go? Toronto? After us, I think he went to Toronto. I think that's how.
Did he go to?
He's Canadian.
Why do I feel like he went to Colorado?
He probably did, which would actually make perfect sense. All you got to do is just barely touch that baseball, and you can hit a home run.
Yep.
But anyways, keep going with your.
I can't remember the point. No, it's all you ever hear about is the and now the Cubs are starting. Now the Cubs are starting to do it too, because like the Cubs had that. The Cubs didn't have quite as hard a fall right after their World Series the year after the Royals, but like we got pitched. If you're a Cubs fan, you got pitched the whole. This is the future. This is our team. This is these guys are going to be contenders for the foreseeable future. And, the next year it was a pretty good team, but, not quite enough in the playoffs. And then it was, we're doing okay. We did okay. And now it's all it's all I ever read about is how all the prospects are doing and how we traded everybody last year. We traded Anthony Rizzo. We traded Chris Bryant. We traded Javier Baez. We traded all the guys. We traded all the guys from that team, and for good reason. I mean, like, you're embarking on a rebuild. I get that. Like, get the prospect, get value for these guys when you can. I do understand that that's how baseball works. A bit different than the way that, like, the NFL works the same way, except it's draft picks. Like, draft picks are the holy grail.
Well, and that's what's interesting is like hockey and baseball, you have to go to a minor league and develop, and then it may never happen.
Right.
But in football and basketball, it's pretty much you have one season to prove it, and it really doesn't matter if you're a first-round pick or a seventh-round pick. Right. If you suck bad enough as a first-round pick, you'll still lose your job. You'll get a job with somebody else.
Maybe to a seventh-round pick.
Right.
If
but they have a more immediate impact, or the ability to make an immediate impact.
If you suck as a seventh round pick,
you're done.
If you suck as a seventh round pick who got forced into action, then somebody might see some positives in you and try to bring you back for that practice squad or bring you back next year or something like that. But if you suck,
it would probably be like a similar mentality to the potential they saw in the first place by drafting you in the seventh round. It's like, league minimum, let me grab him in here. He's still got potential. I think you're right. I think you're 100% right. Is this going to be a high-scoring game?
I was just going to say, it's looking as if we're not on our way to a pitcher's duel so far. I don't know. I mean, honestly, like, every year I get excited. Baseball starts. I I play fantasy baseball, so I get my fantasy team. I got all my life together, and then I'm super stoked about baseball, and I pay attention like religiously for the first week. I know everything that happened across the league. And then in this case, this year, I went on vacation for a week, came home and worked 12 days in a row, and then had a tooth pulled out. And the next thing I knew, I was like, oh, it's the 15th of May. I don't even know who's in the league anymore.
Right. You feel like your whole world's been upended.
Yeah, I mean, when you're, it's the same thing with doing music or doing anything else that's a hobby or more than a hobby. It's just like when you're 22 years old, of course you're like, yeah, I can dedicate all my free time to this. Of course I'm going to take Friday night off of work and go see, Schmucky and the Hunyucks play at 7th Street Entry. But like now you're like, well, I could use the overtime, that hip replacement isn't going to pay for itself.
Uh-oh.
So there it is. Yeah.
I do think Buxton is incredible. Miguel Sano doesn't seem like he's going to pan out.
No. I mean, Buxton is...
I doubt he's even going to be on the team much longer.
Buxton is Buxton's the kind of guy where like
he just can't stay healthy, right?
He can't keep from injuring himself, but like he's also the kind of guy where you just like he's never gonna be what he got sold to you in the first place. So you just have to decide whether or not what he is gonna be is
good enough for you,
is exciting for you, is useful for you. Well, and I mean like here we go. Now you got this is a hot prospect here, Bobby Witt Jr. Bobby Witt Jr.
Let's see if we
you
can
get a lot of
earlier the graphic going.
See, that's the fun. I mean, that's the thing with baseball too that you don't have with basketball and football is you have the opportunity. These guys can come up to the majors and go back to the minors and work on things that they needed to work on things that aren't going. This is not. Bobby Witt getting called up at the beginning of the year and batting .225 through the middle of May is not a death sentence for the dude's career.
Sure.
He's going to continue to get opportunities to improve himself, and he's probably going to drive in 2 runs right here because Smeltzer doesn't really look like he's having a oof.
Yeah, he doesn't look like he has a lot of command. And he's not a fiery. He doesn't throw white hot heat to begin with, Smeltzer.
No, I don't. I honestly, I haven't. So that was my point about missing a bit of what's going on in baseball. Is like I asked you when I sat down. I was like, are the Twins still in first place? Because the Twins are playing. I would say better than expected.
Yeah,
I think most people would have had them pegged as a solid team, but probably somewhere behind the White Sox and the Guardians. As far as the White Sox have got way too much talent to be at 500 right now.
So what I remember is the picks being mostly the White Sox, but sprinkled in with Cleveland and us.
Right.
And I do know a lot of people, because we started off kind of meh.
Yeah, it was that first week was a little ugly, I think.
And now we're in first place. And I know there's a ton of people I've been listening to is like, okay, this is the team we thought they could be. Like this is they're actually playing up to their potential now. This Hunter Dozier dude, I don't know if he's actually good or if MLB The Show is just stupid. but simulated a few seasons from now, like 2025, 2026, this dude is an absolute fucking missile.
Yeah.
Like, he's impossible to pitch against in MLB The Show. But you got to play your road to the show career and get to the majors like 5-6 years from now. So, because he's an absolute beast. It's like 2 years from now.
Are you familiar with Out of the Park Baseball?
No, what one is that?
It's a baseball simulator game for PC.
Oh, no shit.
And probably for Mac too. I don't really know, but like, dude, it's my favorite thing in the world because you can be the manager and play the games, but you can also just be the GM and basically just simulate everything. And
you can do all that in the show too.
All I do is I just hang around and I'm like, fucking that guy's making too much money. gonna have to try and trade him for something else. Like
you can totally do that in the show too.
It's the most addictive thing, and you can and I'm sure you can do this in the show, but you can do like a fantasy draft where like you just click a button and it's like everybody's in the draft now.
Yep, you can totally do that. You can do a I forget what they call it, but yeah, that's basically exactly what it is. My favorite part of MLB The Show, though, is that you actually have a career. And you start off, you get drafted, you have to go through the minors, you have to get to AAA, and then you have to get to the show. You have to maintain your fucking success rate, or they'll send you right back down, dude.
Right.
And then you only get to play that position. And I was a pitcher when I played, and I'm obsessed with it. I love it. So I only play as a pitcher. I either play as a closer or I play as a starter. But that's the role you play. The coach decides when to put you in, and he decides when to pull you. So it just puts you back in that thing of like, as a player, you don't have any control, except for the pitches you throw. I fucking love it. I get off on it, dude. It's amazing. And then you can do a franchise and go further into controlling everything. It's amazing, dude.
That's what I like about doing the out of the park baseball thing is it's like I just decide how to spend the money, like however much money, and like you can be. I mean, like you can pick any team you want to be. So like I've done plenty of them as the Cubs, where I've got, theoretically unlimited resources. Like I can spend a lot of money, but I did one with like, for some reason the team, and I did a fantasy draft, so it's got nothing to do with the players or anything, but I picked Baltimore for some fucking reason. And like my budget is not the budget of like, a Chicago or a Los Angeles or a New York Yankees or anything like that. So it's just constantly that like, okay, how can I sign this guy to at least like a 5 or 6 year deal that's going to be somewhere below, like if he makes it through arbitration, I'm going to have to pay him $32 million a year.
You dipshit. Do you see this?
I did.
All right, for the listeners, basically this is a dipshit play. So that first baseman is not going to get to that dribble of a bullshit ball. Miranda, he's actually a really good player, but that was a dipshit play. I'm
not a fan of the camouflage.
I think that's Jose Miranda. No, I hate the whole military thing. So it wasn't a well hit ball. It wasn't a well fielded ball. It makes it to the first baseman. He bobbles it, and when he goes for it, he doesn't throw to the pitcher to make the play at first. He tries to like.
Smeltzer wasn't really there on it either.
Right, but he's definitely going to have a better chance than that dude doing that in that situation. It was just a dipshit play. It was a dipshit play by both of them, and that's what I'm getting at. Smeltzer needs to really, when that ball gets hit like that,
you got to back up the first baseman.
You have to, and because your first baseman is going to be fielding that rocket there.
God, Carlos Santana's batting 122. Holy.
Yeah, his guitar playing's really taking it
there
back
was
too.
There was a time, boy, where that didn't keep you around on a major league roster very long.
Yeah, you got to have some equity in the league to. That's below the Mendoza line, right? Isn't it 185?
Yeah, 185. And he does have some equity in the. I mean, he's I'm sure he's got great leadership skills and everything as well.
And he's not going to end the season at 122.
No, but I mean, he may well end the season below the Mendoza line.
No,
hitting the fucking shoulder.
No one's ever finished below the Mendoza line. That's why it's the Mendoza line.
I'm certain he's out of options. I don't believe that you're sending him back down to the. Plus, like, what do you? That's the fun.
Are baseball
thing too,
contracts guaranteed? So, like, if you cut him, like.
Mm-hmm. That's how you do that, Miranda.
Dude, if that's Jose Miranda, dude, I'm really glad that he finally made it to the majors, dude, because
he's batting 94.
094, yeah.
094.
He's been crushing it in St. Paul for the Saints.
Has he? Now, this is why I'm an idiot, is like I live like 2 miles away from CHS Field.
Oh, really?
And I don't go to get, I should be a Saints season ticket holder. I should just like get off work and just go to the stadium and just start hanging out and see all these guys. I should go hang out and watch Royce Lewis play.
That would be fucking sick.
Right?
That would be super sick. Man.
I always wanted to do that when somebody was like rehabbing.
I think it's Jose Miranda. Is that right?
I don't know. I always wanted to do that when somebody's like rehabbing or something like that. You know, when Mike Trout is on like a rehab assignment and he's playing with the AAA team. Like, I always wanted to go watch Mike Trout play AAA baseball.
Sure, yeah.
Because that would be fun.
Yeah.
I think. I don't know. But apparently people don't find baseball fun anymore. I don't know why. Well, I do know why. I think the thing that baseball has going against it is there is no way. There's no way to manufacture last minute drama like there is in other sports. Like, it seems like the NFL is always capable of being a one possession game with 2 minutes left to play, which amps up the drama for everybody. So everybody wants to watch it. They want to see it. They want to know. I mean, that's how the whole playoffs was for the NFL this year. And everybody loved it. It was like, this is the greatest playoffs of all time. And it's because all the teams play really soft defense in the fourth quarter. I don't understand anymore how the NFL works, but that's, Jose Miranda. See, all you had to do is wait for him to get to
I also
bat
wanted
here.
to look up. I also wanted to see if I could get any stats for him.
I decided to check the names of the players. Dude, like, so I used to do for the viewers out there, for the listeners
So
at
that
home.
was what the fuck is going on with the goofy ass fucking graphic? They popped that up and then got rid of it. His stats, they like popped it up, and as soon as I was able to start reading it, they got rid of it. This dude just dominated
AAA
down in St. Paul, though, dude. I mean, I don't know if dominated is the right word, but he dominated the Saints fucking highlight reels that they were putting out on Instagram. I follow the Saints on Instagram, and he was their highlight reel.
That's kind of, I mean, I find that to be a fascinating thing about baseball is that.
There you go, buddy. Nice.
There it is.
And is
he over 100 now?
He's got to be, right?
Did that bump the batting average above 100?
He's got to be, right? Because how many at-bats could he possibly have at this early in the, you know what I mean?
I don't know. They took the graphic away from you too soon.
That's a great hit. Great hit right into the gap, dude. That's a nice
That's
single.
what, like, every hit's been over there. There's got to be something in Lynch's that must be the weakness in Lynch's pitching today.
Well, cheers, my guy. I appreciate you being here, man. Thank you, Glenn.
For having
I'm
me.
honored, dude. You look good.
Thank you.
This is fun. I'm having a good time with this already. This is going well.
I hope
it quits fucking. It's like glitching every once in a while. I hope that goes away. But what were you gonna say?
I can't remember. Oh, I still had my apocalypse hair last time I was down here. So we played a gig on February 29th of 2020, and my hair was getting shaggy again, and I was like, nah, I'm gonna leave it shaggy for the gig, and I'll get a haircut after that. And so we played the gig, and then like 2 weeks later, it was, ladies and gentlemen, do not leave your homes. You will probably die. So I didn't get a haircut for...
Oh, that ain't gonna work tonight, is it?
And then one day I could fit my hair back in a ponytail again, and I was like, I guess 2004 Glenn is reappearing at venues near you. So anyway, that's the story of my... Always get your haircut in case of an apocalypse, friends.
I still don't get the apocalypse reference in regards to your hair.
That was when COVID started. So suddenly it was the apocalypse, and we couldn't leave our homes to get.
And you didn't get your haircut.
Our haircuts or anything.
Okay.
So that was my apocalypse hair. 23 years old.
Oh, now I get it, because I said you look good.
Yes.
I said you look good, dude. And you're like, oh, well, last time I was here, I looked like shit. That's basically
I probably
what you're saying.
did, yeah.
That's basically what you're trying to say.
The gist of it.
It took me a while to catch up, man.
It's all right, dude. I often don't know what I'm talking about. Lynch is not going to last through 3 innings. He might not last through 2 innings if if Buxton gets a hold of one here.
There's no outs, right? I don't see any outs on the board.
Nope. 2 on, no outs.
Oh my god, dude, what's wrong with me?
Oof.
Ooh, that was almost a double or triple play. That was almost bad. That almost went really poorly.
That's a good. Yeah, I mean, you can't complain about a solid line drive. It just went right at the third baseman.
No, I mean,
don't like
if
those
our base
hats.
runners would have got a little over aggressive there, the way that cracked off the bat.
Yeah, fortunately,
they could have brought
your,
that back real quick.
Fortunately, I think that's your 8 and 9 hitter there. How's Correa doing?
I think
that was a shock.
I think he just came back to the MLB.
He did. He had a little.
I think he was rehabbing right down there.
He had a little stint on it's the IL now. The
What did I
injured
say?
List. No, you didn't say anything. 360 with 9 RBIs with runners in scoring position.
Pretty impressive.
I love stats, dude. I love how they just call up stats for like.
And I love how fast you have to read that. Like the way you read that was in real time.
They used to like leave that on the board for you for a long time.
Yeah, so you could like sit there and think about what is in front of you. Now they throw it up there, and I want you to do that every time they throw a stat up there, because I want people to understand how fast you legitimately have to read it in order to like get it.
Oh, the Saints are losing 5-0 to Omaha right now, though, according to the ticker.
Well, that's because Miranda's not down there anymore.
Or Correa. For that.
yeah, there you go.
Yeah, because Lewis was up for. Is Lewis still up? And
I don't know.
I don't either.
I'm not keeping up with it hard. The reason I know the roster so well is because of MLB The Show. That's what brought back all of my baseball knowledge in like a crazy. Like, oh my God, I actually know a lot about. I forgot. Like when I had you on the podcast last year,
right?
I was like, oh, I don't know that much about baseball anymore. I used to. Well, dude, I started playing MLB The Show, dude, and it took like a month. And I was like, oh, I remember all of this shit, dude.
Right.
Like, dude, yeah. And then it was just a matter of like understanding who the guys are now, like getting familiar with the names and shit. And it's like that, because that game is so in depth.
Yeah.
I mean, especially when you play pitcher, it really breaks down like where this dude, his hot and cold zones are, and like you can really go into whatever that fucking report is called.
Do you get to figure out what your arsenal of pitches is?
Yeah, and I can like switch them out and change them out for me. Yeah. So
do you have to like work on them to get them better?
Yes,
like,
both movement, control, and velocity.
You can't just decide you throw a splitter one day and then you throw a splitter correctly. You have to.
I mean, you can, but you're not going to be accurate with it.
Right.
So you're not going to have control. The break won't necessarily be very good. So you work on those over time.
Yeah.
And then eventually you can get better movement on your pitches, you can get better velocity, and you can get better control. The thing that I don't like is that velocity always goes up. So like when I'm working on my changeup, I want that to go slower, not faster.
Yeah, you don't want to throw a 90-mile-an-hour changeup.
Exactly.
Unless you're Aroldis Chapman. And you throw a 104-mile-an-hour fastball. Or whatever he used to do when he was good at stuff. Right.
But yeah, it's what I really fucking... And I'm already going to forget, because I constantly forget what it's called. I believe it's a screwball.
Yeah.
Which basically is a curveball that breaks the other way.
Yep.
So that's my whole deal, right? So I throw a 4-seam fastball, because fuck your mother, right? That's my fastball. I ain't trying to do a 2-seam or a cutter or any of that. Nah. 4-seam fastball, because fuck your mother. And then I throw depending on my mood, like what I mean by my mood is which version of the game I'm playing.
Right.
I have like 2-3 different characters.
Sure.
One guy throws a straight fucking slider. One guy has a slurve, and one guy has a curveball.
Yeah.
Just depending on my vibe. And then I always have the slurve. No, I'm sorry, the screwball going the other way. And then I just have a straight up fucking changeup. There's a straight up change. Sometimes I'll throw in a 12-6 curve.
Yeah. There's pitchers who've had a major league career with nothing but a fastball and a changeup.
Yeah. Yeah, in fact, like this, the I would say as a pitcher, the way I remember the game, and the foundation of pitching is fastball, curveball, changeup.
Right.
That's the foundation. All the other shit is if you can't throw those 3 pitches, you get out.
Right.
Like you might be able to add on 1 or 2 more, but you better be able to do those 3.
Well, that 4th pitch a lot of times is where you separate like a starter from a relief pitcher. Is if you've got a 4th pitch that you can use that works, then you've got an arsenal that you can use to confuse hitters. Because there's something extra there. And it doesn't have to be like a lot of these guys who have like a 4-pitch arsenal, they throw that 4th pitch like 10% of the time, but it's enough to throw enough hitters off to make them successful as pitchers.
That's super interesting. So you said that 4th pitch oftentimes separates the difference between a reliever or a closer and a starter. So remember Mariano Rivera, obviously?
Yeah.
He threw 3 different fastballs, if I remember right. Didn't he throw a 2-seam, a cutter, and a 4-seam?
I think so. I don't remember. I mean, like...
What was the third? I know for a fact he had one that went this way. He had one that went this way, so he could come in on any hitter he wanted to. He could jam in on anybody or away. And I just don't remember what that third... It could have been a sinker for all I fucking remember.
It might have been.
I have no idea. I cannot remember what his third pitch was. And it was actually probably his first pitch. So are relievers typically the 3-pitch guys?
Yeah,
and the 4-pitch guys are
relievers.
Kind of what makes a
relievers
starter?
typically. You need less pitches as a reliever because you're not trying to get through that lineup multiple times. Nobody's going to come out and see your pitches again. Like in general, when you look at especially current Major League Baseball, guys are not going as deep. Starters are not going as deep into games as they were, and it has less to do with the pitch count. And the pitch count thing all kind of started after the 2000s and Dusty Baker and Kerry Wood and Mark Pryor and a lot of other guys like young phenom type guys who came up, threw 150 pitches in a game, threw way too many pitches in a season, blew their arms out, and they all blamed it on, in the case of Kerry Wood and Mark Pryor, blamed it on Dusty Baker. It was like, oh, these guys would have been, the greatest of all time if it hadn't been for their manager overusing them. And so more managers started using their pitchers less. But I
agree.
A lot of what it really boils down to, the amount of time the guys spend in games, is how many times they have to go through the lineup. Because most of the time you see a pitcher make his 3rd trip through the lineup, and that's where they start to have their issues.
I should turn this TV off behind us.
That's fine.
They don't need to see it.
No.
Although they can if they want right now. I wonder if that's going to get me flagged by YouTube. I bet it would.
It could, yeah.
I wonder if YouTube's already flagging me. I should look at that real quick. No.
Sweet.
No, we're good, dude. I'll leave it up then. Fuck it.
All right. But yeah, most of the time it's that 3rd trip through the lineup that starts to get to guys, and that's where you start to see, hitters start to figure out the pitcher. The pitchers start to kind of like melt it because A, they're tired, and B, this is the 3rd time that that you've tried to fool a guy. Mm-hmm. Because a lot of what pitching boils down to is that, like, how can I fool you? How can I make you? That's why there's so many guys who work so hard on making 3 different pitches look exactly the same
coming out of
your hand.
Yep, your release point and shit. Yeah, and it's exactly what you described. It's not. That's a lot of it. That's all it is. It's purely fooling you. Can I deceive you for what's coming? If you, as a pitcher, get that. It's coming and you still got to beat it. In Major League Baseball, that's not a thing. They're going yard on you. If they know what pitch is coming, now all they have to do is see where it's going. They're pros. They're going yard on you, bro. They're hitting fucking missiles. That shit is not realistic.
Yeah.
You have to deceive them all. And it's so easy to do. All you do is you have to consciously not fall into your own patterns And in the show, the fucking computer definitely has some fucking patterns to them.
Right.
So I have to do a much better job of randomizing it, because these hitters in the fucking game are like in real life. You get cocky in this video. The difficulty I play on a super high. Dude, you can throw a perfect pitch in the perfect spot and they'll still go yard on you. Like, it's that realistic. You know what I mean? Because they seen it coming. That's the point. I didn't fool the computer. The computer's running algorithms and they go, I know what he's throwing here.
That's the next pitch. Yep.
It's going to be right here at this speed, and they nail it. Got it. Nice job. So basically, it's here's what you do: is you're constantly trying to switch velocities and location without falling into a rudimentary pattern. So what you don't want to do is fastball, curveball, fastball, changeup, fastball, curveball, fastball. You see what I'm saying? Because then it's like, they always know it's two fastballs, and that third one is going to be their changeup or a curve, which they can figure out because those are always going to be two different release points, those two pitches. Right. So they know it's coming off speed. Now they just got to figure that out and figure out your pattern of where you like to put that ball. So sometimes you got to come out and set them up with a fucking changeup outside of the zone. Right. Make it look like you can't control that changeup. Literally, there's shit like that too. Like, I'm going to intentionally throw this changeup as a ball over and over again so they get used to not swinging at the changeup. Yep. And then when I need to, I'm striking your ass out with this perfectly placed changeup. All of those things. That's all. It's beautiful.
And in Major League Baseball, a lot of times, and people don't, I don't think a lot of people realize this, is that the catcher is more responsible for any of that deception 100%. Than the pitcher is.
100%. The pitcher always has the choice to shake you off and throw whatever he fucking wants anyways, but you also have the greater chance of a pass ball. So it's really a chemistry, because the catcher, you're correct, the catcher is the one that does the majority of that research, because most pitchers are concentrated on their own technique.
There was I read an amazing...
Shout out to Luca. What's up, buddy?
I read an amazing story about Brandon Webb once, who was in the early 2000s, mid 2000s, was a dominant starting pitcher for the Diamondbacks for like 2-3 years. And they talked in the article about how he was one of those guys who had his personal catcher, and I can't remember who it was. But his catcher did all of that. He's all night researching all the batters, figuring out the lineups for the next day. Brandon Webb was like playing with remote control helicopters and drones and stuff. And and there was a story where, so almost any time that Brandon Webb would stand on the mound and shake off a sign, it was scripted. He was never actually saying no to a sign. It was like a scripted deal so that people couldn't steal signs, or so that, kept the batter off balance, whatever it was. He like almost never actually shook off a sign and decided to do something else.
But he made it look like that?
But he made it look like he did. And,
again, more deception, right?
And there was a game where he actually shook off the sign.
Nice.
He actually was like, nope, until it was time to throw his curveball or whatever, and threw his curveball and struck the guy out. And as they're walking back to the dugout, the catcher looked at him and goes, "Great. Now batters are 7 for 8 against you when you don't throw the pitch I said you should."
Right.
So he's basically like, this is you have shaken off my sign 8 times in your entire life, and this is the first time you've gotten anybody out.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fucking, it's one of those weird things where it's like, what makes a great catcher is a very complicated deal. It really is, but that's one of those things Joe was great at, is I know what pitch you need to throw.
Yeah.
Trust me. And so pitchers would like, it's hard to explain. So it's like, I think when players are here, because we used to have such a great management staff and coaching staff here it was Minnesota baseball tradition coming out of the Kelly era, right? And let's give the man some fucking respect, because him into Garden hire was a great, it really was. Like after Kelly won the second World Series in 91 and the team kind of collapsed after that for a while, people fail to acknowledge the fact that the baseball strike in 94 and the way the salaries skyrocketed after that, we couldn't be competitive the old way baseball was played and done, and the way the new one was being done. So we had to figure out, and we went small ball. We kind of invented this small ball, not the money ball, small ball. and it fucking worked.
No, and for
we
anybody
got to
who
the playoffs. All the time.
and for
We
anybody
got to
who
the playoffs all the time.
for
in the
anybody
early
who's
2000s.
confused about the difference, Moneyball is the idea, Billy Beane in the Oakland A's of how can I spend the least amount of money and get the most amount of performance out of these players? How can I find a guy and that's where a lot of the
high level sabermetrics.
That's where the sabermetric stuff comes from, is being able to look at a guy and say, like, yeah, he batted 179 for the time he was up in the majors with the Mets or whatever, but the his OBP, so his on base percentage or his OPS, on base plus slugging, and all those different things that we never would have heard about when we were kids. Like, I don't give a shit that this guy only had 60 RBIs. Nobody got on base in front of him. Go sign that guy for the veteran minimum, and let's go win some baseball games with him on that.
And I think that's the most important stat in baseball as a hitter is your on base percentage, because it's the only thing you can actually control.
Yeah,
they used to say it's RBIs. And I
never understood that.
I argue with people who were like way old. Shit, dude. I was 20 years old, like legitimately arguing with guys where like all they cared about was baseball. It was their life,
right?
And they would be like, "Oh, it's RBIs," and I'm like, "No, it's not," because I played baseball. I don't give a fuck what you do at home, reading the paper, geeking out. No, I played fucking baseball. I remember. I have zero control whether there's players on the bases before me or not.
Right.
And it doesn't matter where I'm at in the lineup when that happens. I understand there's odds that are greater that we will have. That's why you put a certain guy at third or fourth. I understand all of this. But there's zero control you have. The only thing you have control over is whether you get on base. Because again, you might have the worst batting average in baseball, and you might have 0 RBIs because no one's willing to pitch to you because they walk you every fucking time. That's part of your on base percentage.
The mistake the Twins, the mistake the Twins made with Mauer for so many years was insisting on him hitting third. When he was
you think he should have hit first or second?
He was the ideal number 2 hitter in baseball, other than Derek Jeter in baseball at the time that Joe Mauer played. Joe Mauer was the ideal number 2 hitter.
Either 2 or 5.
5, yeah.
He would have been a great 5 hitter too, man.
Yeah, but they would have had to have a 2 then.
True.
There was that whole lineup.
But also 5 was too low because he's too great of a hitter.
That whole lineup was. For how many years was that entire lineup just Mauer, Morneau, and Kadire?
My favorite year was when Target Field first opened, and we had Tomey. My favorite year was obviously my favorite year was obviously 91, but
91 I was old enough to know. In 87 I was like 6 years old, and we had just moved here from Chicago, my family. So the idea that
so you're a Bears fan, but you're a Twins fan.
So I'm a Bears fan and I'm a Cubs fan, but I'm a Twins fan because I don't have any reason not to be a Twins fan.
That makes sense, actually.
Whereas like the Vikings are the Bears division rival. I can't be a Vikings fan, but the Twins are not the Cubs division rival.
You might as well be at this time because your franchise is fucked.
The Bears?
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
You guys are epically fucked.
I have no idea. It's going
to be honest, you guys got the GM I thought the Vikings should have went and gotten. And he passed on us to go to Chicago. So
I am excited to see that, like, and I know this is not, hip in the NFL anymore, but like, I don't know that they've come out and said it, but like, the moves that they've made with the front office and the coach and the stuff they've done so far
the coach is a joke, the GM's legit
in bringing players in is like, we're gonna go back to playing defense and trying to run the fucking football. Like it still works for Pittsburgh and Baltimore. Let's just go back to being a hard-nosed football team.
Right? Like why does it have to be more complicated?
You don't always have to be. You don't have to be Andy Reid.
Right.
Like you don't have to be Kansas City.
And you can't be Andy. This is what I've been trying to explain for a long time. It's like, and we use this analogy in music a lot as musicians, like stop trying to be Eddie Van Halen.
Right.
And why? Not because Eddie Van Halen's not dope, but because in the realistic world that we actually live in and play in, and we've both done some really cool shit in the music industry, it's because whatever guitar player we're talking to, and sometimes ourselves, you're not Eddie Van Halen. Stop trying to be Eddie Van Halen because you're never going to be as good at being Eddie Van Halen. Be you and be that.
Well, and the thing about those
be
guys,
something
whether
you
it's
can handle,
whether it's Andy Reid or Bill Belichick or Eddie Van Halen or Jimi Hendrix or anything like that, is that those guys, or even being Tony Iommi,
those are great like pillars for the analogy. By the way, those names,
right? Or even being like a Tony Iommi, where it's like, dude, you know what? You sit down with a guitar and you can learn how to play everything Tony Iommi ever played. If you practice hard enough, you will learn how to play everything that Jimi Hendrix or Eddie Van Halen ever played. I see it's on YouTube all the time.
Correct.
Go when you're done with this, go search Eruption guitar cover. Yep. There's hundreds and hundreds of people who have learned how to do this. You didn't learn how to make it. You can't learn how to make it. You can't learn how to innovate and the way that those guys did.
And not one of those motherfuckers actually sounds like Jimmy or Eddie playing that riff.
Well, there's that
you
too.
are absolutely playing those notes.
Yes.
But you're still not him. Even when you have So there's this story from old music legend, but it's pretty well verified that this is true and it actually happened. And it's probably exaggerated a little by this point, but not by much, okay? I really don't think it's exaggerated at all, but I'm still going to give myself that out.
Fair enough.
So it's a pretty famous story about Ted Nugent being backstage at a Van Halen concert before they went on stage. And Eddie has an exact replica of his rig set up backstage for warm-ups.
Yep.
Versus the one that's actually mic'd up front of house for the on stage.
Yeah.
But it's identical. And he's got everything set up, and fucking Ted Nugent walks up and he goes, Eddie, can I fucking jam on your rig for a second? He's like, of course, go ahead. Fucking Ted Nugent. Back then, nobody gave a fuck about Ted Nugent back then. Back then, Ted Nugent was revered as one of the best guitar players in the world.
And he was.
And he is.
Yeah.
He is still one of the best guitar players in the world. But he's sitting there and he's actually playing. And this is the crazy thing, is he actually can play all of the Eddie riffs. Like all of them. Like as close as anybody's ever played them. And he goes, okay, but hit the Eddie button. And Eddie goes, the what? And he goes, hit the button so I sound like you. And Eddie's like, there is no button. You're playing my rig. And he goes, no, turn on the pedal that makes it sound like Van Halen. And he goes, dude, all the pedals are on. And dude, here's the point. They literally had to be taken away from each other by huge security people because they were going to fucking fight over this. Ted Nugent was choosing violence, and so was Eddie, because Ted Nugent did not believe that the pedal was on or the button was on.
Right.
And the point is Eddie referenced this story many times when he was talking about, and I believe and agree with this 100%, 90% of your tone comes from your fingertips.
Yeah.
That's where I was going with that. Because even if you're playing everything correct, not only would you not have created that originally because you're not him or whatever, but even with that, you're still not executing it the same way. And that also is true with the Bill Belichick analogy back on the other side. To get back to sports. God, I've only had fucking one in, almost 2 beers, but I'm like hiccupy, dude. Like I've been drinking all night already. Oh, fuck. But yeah, you can't execute that shit the same way. It's just not.
Just because you have the dude's playbook, just because you studied with the dude, doesn't mean that it's how Oakland and Tampa Bay. Now, Oakland's a terrible example of it this year because Oakland is in the fucking like trash heap. But but why do you think for all those years that those teams like Oakland and Tampa Bay always seem to pop up as competitive teams? And then you watch Baltimore, Kansas City, Arizona et al. Do try to do the same thing and not have that same amount of success.
Yep.
You know, it's... There's
the same thing. You like Belichick wins a bunch of Super Bowls, so everybody tries to go pluck people from his coaching staff.
Which Belichick coordinator has been a successful, uber successful head coach?
For the viewers, zero. The answer is none.
Charlie Weiss had a good run at Notre Dame.
Ish. He still got fired.
You know
what I mean? He never won a championship. He never won a bowl game. He got fired. Like, is that good?
But I mean,
he had a winning record, but you know what I mean? So like,
but it's it's starting to be the same. It's starting to be the same thing with Andy Reid. It's just like all these guys keep coming off the Andy Reid
Matt
tree.
Nagy. Yep, he's the most recent one.
Well, and where did Andy Reid come from in the first place? Holmgren?
Green Bay.
That whole and Holmgren came from Bill Walsh, right?
Yep.
Was it with Denny, right?
Correct.
When Denny.
You're good. You're
Denny
a good
and all those
historian.
guys?
That is 100% accurate. Yep.
My buddy and I
just
to have
happen
this
to
whole,
know
coaching tree thing.
Oh yeah. The coaching tree's real.
Like, where do they all come from?
The coaching tree.
They all came from Bill Parcells or Bill Walsh.
The coaching tree thing is real.
I think everybody in the NFL still, you can tie them back within like 3 degrees to Parcells or Walsh.
Or Buddy Ryan. Or Buddy Ryan
goes back to Parcells.
Correct. Or you could go Buddy Ryan.
Yeah.
Buddy Ryan's a different direction. And then there's also the what was his name? Wade Wilson's Bum Phillips. Bum Phillips is another one who has a coaching tree below him because of Wade Phillips and all. There's a few genuine coaching trees, but you're right. There's a handful where everything really goes back to like these dudes because they fucking
How did Andy Reid ever get fired in Philadelphia?
It was not winning.
I don't
the Super
remember
Bowl.
how that happened.
It was just every year he just couldn't get him over the hump. Like he just developed that reputation as being the greatest coach who couldn't ever win a Super Bowl. And then
he was the new Marv Levy.
Sure, yeah, yeah.
Thanks for tuning in,
Bud Grant.
Thanks for tuning into the Baseball Podcast to hear us discuss old NFL coaches. That's right. This is why My Baseball Podcast doesn't exist anymore, is because we would, kill an hour on old NFL coaches.
Well, that is why I say it's a sportscast, right? Right. So it's like I give us that out to begin with. But no, where we started this to bring it back to baseball is this is analogous to the Kelly era, right? Where there was clearly something that they knew what they were doing. And they were flexible enough to understand after the 94 strike where salaries went through the roof.
Yeah.
They clearly had the ability to self-evaluate, self-criticize, and change and evolve so they could become effective. And by 2000, we were extremely effective.
Oh, yeah, so
and we were making it back to the playoffs, but with small ball, which is not how we won those World Series.
Which is not money ball. Small ball is get on base.
Yep.
And continue getting on base and drive and run.
Base hits. It was base hits.
Base hits, walks.
Yep. Smart baseball like that. And then
smart
really
base running.
It was pitching and defense. It was pitching, defense, and base hits. Just you do that long enough. Let's get those base knocks. Let's get those runners in position because all it takes is a base hit to score from second.
There is no more small ball in Major League Baseball.
No, it is completely gone.
Everything now is exit velocity and home runs.
And that's because of sabermetrics. That's actually because of Moneyball. That's the irony to this whole discussion. Is Moneyball highlighted certain sabermetrics to go back to like on base percentage and shit like that, and they found this exit velocity thing.
And launch angle.
It's exciting. It's sexy. You can sell it. It's the stat you can sell, and it also sells tickets and wins baseball games. So they're pushing it. And
the problem for baseball is it doesn't sell enough tickets. Right. And what would sell tickets is personalities. And baseball's been getting better at it over the last.
Nice double play. You got him. Yes. Nice play. Oh man, and we can do replays on here too. I mean, they can see it on the back screen, but check this out. So I got this other flip screen. You'll see it up there when I hit this button. In 3, 2, 1. It's in frame, so that sucks. It's glitchy.
Oh, you made a tag on the.
Yeah, you made the tag and then hit the throw. Sorry for the shitty fucking replay value there, you guys. I've never seen that be so shit.
Well, it's because I'm here dragging the thing
It's
down.
probably because we had to go to Chrome.
Oh.
And that's just a huge drag on the system that's way more than normal. Like we're hovering while we stream. We're at like 25% of my computer usage, the CPU, and you were usually at like 18-19%. It's quite a bit more to run Chrome versus the the Opera browser we usually run. But hopefully we can get away with this in the future. Right to Buxton, that's no problem. That's not a big deal. So Smeltzer is kind of your like classic throwback to your control pitcher, right? Like he reminds me a lot, actually. Maybe not with his pitch arsenal, but just like the velocity and like, okay, what is this dude going to need to do to be successful? He reminds me of Greg Maddux, actually.
That's a pretty lofty comparison, but
Greg Maddux was not an overwhelming pitcher in any way, shape, or form.
None of those guys in Atlanta were. Glavine wasn't either.
Right, and that's what I mean by that. I'm not necessarily comparing him to the greatness of Greg Maddux. I'm saying like Greg Maddux was not a threat. Neither was John Smoltz, right?
Yeah.
Neither one of them were.
Smoltz was the closest because Smoltz had actually been a closer for a minute before that. So he did have some. But yeah, those guys were not. But Greg Maddux was the type of guy. I mean, I could go on and on about how great Greg Maddux was.
I mean, he's probably the greatest accuracy control pitcher of all time.
Yeah.
Like he would locate in the strike zone and just fuck with your head.
Yep.
The greatest version of what we were talking about earlier.
Yeah. And he would get, I mean, the guy threw complete games in less than 100 pitches. You know, a complete game shutout in less than 100 pitches. It's absurd. And he did it
crazy
a lot.
He's fucking crazy.
Like during the highest offensive era of baseball, Greg Maddux and Pedro Martinez both managed to post a sub-2 ERA for a season. Like, and Pedro was a little different than Greg Maddux stylistically.
Yeah, those are two very different pitchers. But yeah, it's like, honestly, I still miss, what is he doing? Spraying glue on his handle? Oh my God.
Him.
They're such bitches nowadays. Just use the tar like a real man.
Well, you don't want to get your home run called back since you realize
pine tar's illegal now.
You realize the Royals and the Royals.
Wait, pine tar's illegal?
No, the George Brett incident. But the Royals and the Twins are responsible for two of my all-time favorite television baseball meltdowns.
Okay, I'm super confused. Explain what you're talking about.
So in 1980 or something like that, the Royals were playing the Yankees. And George Brett hit a home run. And Billy Martin came out to complain about the amount of pine tar that was on George Brett's bat was higher than where it was allowed to be. And they wound up calling him out. And George Brett comes just roaring out of the dugout like to punch Billy Martin in the face. It's amazing. I can't believe you've never seen that.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, look up George Brett pine tar incident.
Oh my God, dude.
It's the greatest. And then the Twins, of course, had the Phil Niekro with the emery board.
Wait, what? Why don't I remember this?
When Niekro got caught with the emery board in his pocket and he was like, he dropped it out. Yeah, the nail filer.
Yep. Yeah.
And you can see it like fall out of his pocket when he like reaches his hands up. He's like, nothing in there.
I do remember that. That was kind of embarrassing though.
But yeah, the George Brett pine tar incident is something else.
I thought you were implying that like pine tar is illegal now.
It could be. Who really knows? I don't know. Wow, $9
for summer baseball between games between the 26th of May and the 26th of June for $9, dude. And here's the thing, dude. Target Field is such a beautiful field. I just buy the cheap ticket and just walk around. You don't need to go sit in your shit ass stadium seat.
Well, and I've been in a lot, and it's a super mega cliche, but like, there's really not any bad seats in that place.
Oh, I agree with that 100%.
It's a huge cliche to say that, but like I've sat all over that field, and like there's not a place where I've been like, well, this sucks.
Right.
You know, you're not sitting behind a pole at a weird angle like you would have been at the Dome back in the day.
Right. No, the sight lines are amazing at Target Field, and it's outdoors, so it's actually like an enjoyable place to be.
I think I've actually been to Kauffman Stadium too. And seen a Royals game. We were talking before when we were trying to figure out the game where it's like Kauffman Stadium's got to be one of the last stadiums in sports that's not named after a bank or a cell phone company.
Yeah, it's that and what, Lambeau,
yeah.
Fuck, it's the only two I can think of off the top of my head.
Is Chicago still Soldier Field?
Oh, you're right. No, it's Soldier Field. It's new Soldier Field, but yeah.
Until they move to Arlington Heights, they're gonna move to the racetrack.
Oh, you know who else? No, because fucking even I was just gonna say the Cowboys, but no, that's AT&T Stadium.
Yeah.
Dude, the fielding in baseball is atrocious. Like, that's the thing, is like the core.
Well, that's the rookie again.
The core of what baseball really is, fundamentals. You know what I mean? Pitching,
all the boring
defense,
shit that you didn't want to learn that your coaches taught you.
But that's what actually makes truly great players and championship teams. It's completely. This game is devolved to fucking let's hit missiles.
Yeah, it's the three outcomes approach is what everybody's going for now.
For people that don't know what that means, explain.
You strike out, you walk, or you hit a home run.
There you go.
That's what. It's kind of embarrassing when you watch it. So like, just to use this game as an example, like the Royals are down 4-1. Now, right now it's the fourth inning, so whatever. But like when I see a team come out in the 8th or 9th inning down 4-1, just every guy swinging for the fences, I'm like, what are you doing? You cannot hit a 3-run. You cannot hit a leadoff 3-run home run.
Exactly.
You can't. It's not possible. Somebody has to be on base for that to happen. And like, guess what, guy? Like, and we all.
He's gone. Good luck, bitch.
Buxton's gonna make it all the way around the bases here.
I mean, this is how basic bitch these players are. Look how he has a mitten on to run the base.
But I mean, if anybody's gonna wear,
these players are just so soft nowadays, dude. Like, it's just embarrassing, man. Like Byron Buxton, if he runs into the wall, he like has to go to the hospital.
Well, he could stop running into the wall. How long did I say Lynch was going to last? I said he wasn't going to last through the third, and it's the top of the fourth, and he's thrown 87 pitches.
87, but he did cap us off at 4, so he did stabilize.
This is his third trip to the lineup, too.
Do you think it'll go dark here? You think it'll get bad?
Lynch, I think it's already bad.
It seemed like he started off worse than he's doing now.
At this point, I would say... I feel like I heard the announcers say earlier that they had gotten a short start out of whoever their starter. The Royals had gotten a short start out of whoever their starter was yesterday, as well. So at this point, I have to imagine that.
I see where you're going.
I have to imagine that they're trying to save a little bit of the bullpen by, if you don't give up another run, Dan, you may keep pitching.
Man, I would be such a fucking grumpy ass boomer coach. Because I'd be like, listen, you can be you can wear your facial hair, you can wear your regular hair, but no more fucking jewelry. Like, you guys are way too worried about your chain showing. You know what I mean?
Every time I see the guys with the huge shit, all I can think of is Major League 2.
Yeah.
When Willie Mays Hayes comes back and it's not and it's Omar Epps instead of Wesley Snipes for I don't know why. I'm sure it was something contractual, but he's got all the like bling on and everything, and he's like, I buffed up in the off season. He says, you'd have to wear all that jewelry. I'm like, yeah, that's how I always.
So they're definitely
this one.
Pulling him. I don't think they're gonna pull him now, but they're definitely pulling him. Oh no, he's done.
I'm getting him now.
I never just got the second out too. Like, why do you pull him out now?
Like, you had Buxton was on third with Correa at the plate with 1 out. Now you've got 2 outs. Buxton's still on third. Nothing's really changed. I mean, Lynch might have a bad history against the batter,
and they're bringing in another right-hander, so it's not like they're fucking. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I mean, like 90's a lot of pitches, but still under 100.
Give him 10 more.
Yeah.
Then bring this guy in. Like, give him a chance to get out of the fucking inning.
Give him one more batter.
Yeah, I've never understood that.
This guy's gonna give up this run to Buxton just as easily as Lynch would have. I don't know. There's a lot of things about baseball, football, basketball, what have you, where it gets sold to me as a chess match, and I'm like, yeah, but
sometimes you overthink.
But just take the queen.
Yeah,
you should just take the queen right there. I don't know. I didn't read all the books, but if I were you, I would take the guy's queen. You know,
sometimes it is that simple. Like
right.
I always joke about how it's never that simple. We always do this, blah blah blah. But sometimes, every once in a while, it really is. Like in that situation, I don't understand why you're pulling a right-hander to put in a right-hander with a situation where he just got his second out. 3 of these runs were given up in the first inning.
Right.
So yeah, he's throwing a lot of pitches, but he still has 10 or 12 left, easy.
That's there is the...
Let him get out of the inning. Let him at least get 4 full innings.
There are pitchers, like there's a lot. So like I said, a lot of pitchers that third time through the lineup is when it gets disastrous for them. But there's other pitchers who literally like settle down their second time through the lineup. Like when
Brad Radke,
Ryan Dempster for the Cubs, he was the quintessential. Like he'd go out, give up 2 runs every time in the first inning, every time, face 8 batters in the first inning, look like a train wreck. And then go 7 innings and give up 2 runs. Just the 2 that he gave up in the first inning. It was like he was going out there and like picking around at the plate and going like, what are you going to swing at? That? Okay. Save that for later. Shouldn't have put that there. Okay. Move it over 3 inches to the left next time. And then he would pitch, it's an incredible amount of time that he would spend blowing up in the first inning and then settling down and making it through 7 or 8 with no more earned runs.
That makes sense. Yeah. I mean, I always wondered what was going on in Brad Radke's head.
Yeah.
Because he was the same. He'd give up 4 runs in the first inning, and then he would throw 6 or 7 or 8.
Scott Baker was good for that too. He would always give up. He would like give up 2 home runs in the first inning, pitch 4 more innings, and then give up 2 home runs, and that was the end of his day. It was just
I think Brad Radke's like lifetime ERA was just over 4.
Yeah,
and I'm telling you, almost all those runs were in the first inning.
Yeah, and there's got. I mean, like that's. Obviously, we were talking about the. You're talking about the amount of like deception that these guys are shooting for, mixed with the amount of like physical exertion that there obviously is to pitching. That
was a nasty curveball. That had to be a curveball, right? I guess it could have been a slider. But the way he came out of the zone and dropped that back into the outside of the plate, that's nasty. That is nasty because that is a dangerous place to try to throw that breaking ball. Because if you bring that just a little too far in, it's in the sweet spot. It's in the heart of the zone.
Right.
But if you land it right where he landed it, it's almost impossible to hit because by the time you know it's coming back into the zone, it's way too fucking late, dude.
Yeah, because it was a ball the entire way until it crossed the plate.
Yep. And it technically may have still been a ball.
Right.
But where it was caught, it's definitely a strike.
Right. Well, I remember my brother played baseball and my dad coached, and they were very involved. I had stopped playing baseball by 4th grade, 5th grade, something like that. And but every now and again, my dad would be in a bind and he'd be like, I need an umpire, for a tournament this weekend or something like that. And I'd be like, okay, obviously not my brother's games or anything, but he was really involved in the league and all that stuff. So he'd can you come ump a game? I'll pay you $20 or whatever the hell. And I was like, well, yeah. And so I umped a game of like second graders, with my brother. It was adorable. It was just like, that's awesome. He's safe. Okay. I actually had to tell a coach to sit the fuck down in that game because my brother had called the kid out at home for not sliding. Because that was the rule. That was a very specific safety rule for that league. And my brother's like, he's out. You have to slide when there's, when the ball's in play. We'll play at home plate. And the one coach is losing his mind and this and that. The other coach is like, that was a right call and this and that. And they're all arguing and stuff. And my brother's not the most authoritative voice. He's not going to tell anybody to shut the fuck up. And I finally just walked over there. I'm like, the ump already made the call, gentlemen. Sit down.
Yeah.
And that was it. And, you know, it didn't affect the outcome of the game. And it was an important lesson. And anyway, point being, I was fine if somebody called me to ump a game of second graders or something like that. But my dad one time, he's like, I need an ump for tonight. And I'm like, okay. You know, he's like, it's, you know, seventh grade or whatever. And, you know, like it's you behind the plate. And I'm like, okay, so like the kids are pitching here. This is a situation that I don't know. Like, what if I call a ball a strike? And my dad says, then make sure you always call it a strike. It doesn't matter if you're right. It matters if it's consistent.
Correct.
If that pitch is that's always a strike.
Thank you. Yep.
Then
that's what I'm looking for as a pitcher too. Is I just want to know what you're calling. So like, and this is my favorite part of the show, is when you're playing pitcher, the umps have personalities like that. So this ump, I have to feel him out, and it sucks because right now, like my favorite thing I'm doing as a closer, I don't get a lot of a wiggle room to figure this out. But he'll call the outside of the batter accurate, and the inside of the batter is always like, I can figure out this. And this is just one guy. I'm like, oh, okay. So if it's a right-handed batter and I pitch inside, if I'm even a little bit out of the zone, you're not giving me that strike.
Right.
Got it. So I have to be perfect on the inside of the plate, but you're generous on the outside of the plate to right-handed hitters. To left-handed hitters, it's actually the exact opposite, right?
Right.
You're tight on that side of the plate because that's whatever. You get what I'm getting.
So it's it's a side of a plate thing, not inside or outside of a batter thing.
Right. And that literally might be just for that one ref or that one ump. Sorry. Then the other guy, it's like the opposite. It's really cool. And then some umps in that game, and you can turn that feature off.
Yeah.
And you can have it be like exactly perfect inside the grid, but it's not realistic. Like,
what's the fun of that?
Like, that's the beauty of baseball, is the ump is the 10th player on the field.
Right.
Or the 11th player on the field, because you always have the batter. Yeah, he's part of, like, there's times in the game where that'll still be called a strike.
Right.
And you're like, wait, what? That wasn't okay. I guess I'm getting him. He's generous high and inside.
Yeah. Well, so that, I mean, like, that was the, and I don't, oof.
Oh, you see, fielding. I'm telling you, man, these guys just don't. That's a easy triple. See.
That is a tricky play, but
I know, but they used to
keep the ball in front of you.
We used to drill shit like that. Like, that used to be part of a practice drill during warm-ups before the game. Let's fucking rocket balls off these fucking walls and see how they bounce around. Like, once he knows, stop way before that.
Stop there, keep the ball in front of you. Don't, exactly. That sidearm thing, that's what gets you every time.
Exactly. Like, he should have stopped a long time ago.
I remember that because that's not a thing I was good at. Keep the ball in front of you. What if it bounces up into my face, coach?
And you
catch it.
Then you get that glove up in front of your face. Yeah, that's why your glove should always be in front of your chest, not down below where everyone thinks they look cool. Seriously, because the glove is heavy. You can't move your glove hand as fast as you can move your other hand. It's just mathematically not possible.
Right.
Unless you overwork the left side of your body, which would be fucking weird, or your glove side of your body, which would be bizarre. However, my pec on my left side of my chest has always been noticeably larger than my right pec. And even though everything on my right side of my body is stronger, that pec has always been smaller than my left pec. And I used to think when I played baseball, because that was my thing when I was a kid, I was convinced it was because of having this big, heavy glove. Because I always played an adult glove, though I was a kid. So I was convinced it was the extra 1 pound or whatever, just all of that when I'm running, when I'm fucking doing shit, lifting and moving it. I don't think it was, because here I am, 37 years old. I haven't touched a baseball glove in 20 years.
Right.
And I absolutely still have a bigger pec on this side than on my other side. Yeah, so I don't know what it is, but yeah, you better keep that fucking glove in front of your chest. You may look like a dork, but you're never going to get hit in the face with the ball, bud. The most frustrating thing, though, was realizing like baseball and sports in general were super easy for me.
Yeah.
And when I was trying to teach my little brother how to play baseball, he just couldn't. He either didn't have the attention span for it, because it's not the most exciting sport. It's not. Sometimes you get bored. I remember being bored.
I was the kid picking dandelions. I was like sitting on my ass picking dandelions in the outfield.
I was never that kid, but I do remember being in the outfield like fucking bored out of my mind because that ball ain't coming nowhere near me. But that's the part of the challenge of baseball is patience and beating the boredom when you're sitting out in the middle of the outfield and nothing's coming to you all day.
Right. Well, and I mean, like when you're a kid, especially when you're a kid, like the fun of playing baseball is hitting.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's what you want to do.
You want to get diving catches.
Like
that was my other favorite part is all the kids being reckless and diving for balls. Like you could have easily got that.
Right. Just take one little step over to the side.
But which
is actually kind of the way that Buxton plays.
Right? I know what I'm saying. Well, how many times did we see growing up? We seen our entire childhood guys running full speed, jumping up in the air, catching a ball, face planting against the fucking wall, hitting the ground, standing up, good, and they keep playing the rest of the season. I refuse to believe that those walls are harder than they used to be. Right? Foam technology has gotten better.
Right.
Like, I just refuse to believe that's a possibility. So,
I think a lot.
I just think these guys are soft now. I really do. I'm sorry, man. I think they're fucking pussies, dude.
I think a lot of it's got to do with, a lot of it's got to do with the same thing that led to pitch counts and things like that of just like more and more people not wanting to overwork or injure or cut somebody's career short. I think that's got something to do with it. And I also think that there's a lot to be said for the way that people train. Like baseball players in the 50s were fat dudes. Like they were not chiseled specimens of. Same with football. It was these like big like guys who used to move pianos, or something like that. So nobody was trained, which you would think would lead to more injuries. But the way that guys train and the way that guys train so specifically now, and the way that guys are so much bigger than they were before, the human body's not designed. Your knee isn't designed to carry a body like some of these players have. So when you do something to that knee,
torque. Their muscles
fuck it up a lot more.
So what you're talking about is torque, right? So like the muscles that these guys are developing are providing more torque on the ligaments and tendons than they can handle, because you can't build the strength of a ligament or tendon beyond its natural ability, and that's shit you're born with. Muscle you can continue to build and grow,
right?
So these guys start putting their bodies, and the phrase what we're really getting at is overtraining, right? That's what we're really talking about. These guys are overtraining. They're making their bodies do things that the other parts of their bodies, that's the easiest way to say it. They're making their muscles, they're getting their muscles to make their bodies do things that their tendons and ligaments and bones can't handle.
Right.
That's what you're trying to say. And I do believe that's true to a certain extent, but
it's like a signal chain to a certain extent. It's only as good as the weakest thing in there.
There you go. Yeah, that's great. That's a great metaphor.
So $10,000 record player, $10,000 receiver, $200 speakers. You're going to sound like $200 speakers. Probably you're going to sound like $500 speakers, because let's face it, you're getting some pretty good audio quality out of there. But like, whatever it is, it's like, and people would ask, I mean, that was a huge thing that came up working at a guitar store, but it comes up with, people will ask me about, because people know I collect vinyl and I listen to vinyl all the time. So people will ask me about, what kind of record player should I get? I'm like, whatever kind of record player you can afford that's the same price as all the other shit you have. Like, you go out and get $1,000 record player and then play it through your Bluetooth speaker, it's going to sound like your Bluetooth speaker does, homie. Right. Like that's all there is to it. It's going to sound like those little JBL 3-inch, studio monitors that you bought on sale on Black Friday at Guitar Center or Target.
Yep.
or Amazon or whatever, like that, you have 3-inch JBL speakers. That's what your system is designed for. So go get so instead of spending $1,000 on a turntable, spend $400 on a turntable and $400 on speakers. Get 2 things that work in conjunction with each other.
No, I agree with that 100%.
I mean,
dude. There's too many people, including talented musicians, that don't have respect for gear. The one that's pissing me off recently, and this is an argument I'm hearing a lot online, is that if you care about tone, you're a gatekeeper. And here's how it's really being sold. And this one, it genuinely pisses me off. Your fans aren't going to know anyways. Your fans aren't going to know the difference. Do you know how fucking insulting that is to people? Like, everybody involved. You have any fucking idea how insulting that is to anybody who saved up to buy good gear because it does sound better? Now you're telling them they're a fucking fool for buying nice shit that any asshole can go and grab a $300 fucking pedal board and sound as good as a fucking whatever your amp is, right? Or they'll say solid state tube doesn't matter. Your fans aren't going to know the difference. No, that's not fucking true. Here's the thing. They may not be able to describe what the difference is.
Right.
But people know what shitty tone sounds like. And they just say, And they don't even know how to say shit like, dude, it's dope. You just need better gear. They don't even know how to say that. They just go, it's good, or whatever.
Well, and I think I think the problem is that that argument is valid if you know how to get good tone out of something.
Right. That's what I was going to get at next.
If you can take, I'll use an example of something a record that I made with a recording project that I had called My Famous Mistake, and on our second EP,
oops, that's not what I wanted.
On our second EP, all the guitar tracks were done with my Fender Hot Rod Deluxe or PVJSX tube amp,
right?
Except for one rhythm track that we did with a Fender Mustang 2, little practice modeling amp.
That's not going to work, is it?
And
I gotta go to the bathroom. Keep going. I can hear you. I'm gonna be right here.
And we just made a good sounding. We got a good guitar tone out of that.
Right. But this is what I always try.
And
to
you're not you're not gonna listen to that and go maybe somebody is with a truly discerning ear could go that's the one that's a solid state amp.
But somebody sat down and said, I know what sounds good.
Right.
And I know how to make that sound good.
Yeah.
But nobody is in that circle that you're talking about, the people that were involved with this. Nobody is sitting there going, it doesn't matter.
Right.
The fans aren't going to notice.
Right.
No,
that's the problem.
There's 2 choices. Either I want that sound, like there's an amp sitting over there on the ground. It's this weird PV somebody tried to sell me while I was at Guitar Center, and we wouldn't take it in.
Right.
And he's like, will you throw it away for me then? And I was like, yep.
Sure.
Because I'm taking it home.
Right.
Because it had the ugliest, nastiest tone I've ever heard out of a guitar amp, period.
Right.
End of story. But it's still a fucking tube amp, so it's rich and it's thick and it's got all the right frequencies in there.
Yeah.
So I'm like, dude, I'm going to figure out a way to record something with this amp. Like, this is going to be a dope-ass tone. Like, I want to sample this tone almost, right?
Right.
Because I understood what I just heard.
Right.
There's an arbitrary level and a subjective level to tone, but then there's also the idea of no, that's a great audio spectrum. That's a great frequency spectrum. It's got all the right thicknesses and thinness and brightness and all that. I can EQ the shit out of that.
Right.
But dude, if you give me, to bring it back home to your thing, if you give me a shit amp through a shit guitar on a shit microphone in a shit preamp, I'm not saying I can't make it sound good.
Right.
But for you to say it doesn't matter because the fans aren't going to know the difference,
right,
you're an asshole. You're the asshole. Don't call us tone snobs. Don't call me a fucking gatekeeper. You're wrong. And there's, seriously, because I know great, I'm just going to say it. One of the people I'm talking about is my buddy Dalton. That's his guitar hanging right there. He's been jamming with me. You know, we've written shit together. And I'm realizing you may be one of the greatest guitar players I personally have ever met and known. Like, he's that level of elite.
Right.
But he has zero respect for tone. Like, he thinks you can just plug into that interface and computer generate basically
any sound you want.
My 5150 with a fucking RE20. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I don't think he understands if we brought in a certain preamp that this is like a whole nother level of audio quality. The signal purity that we're starting with is far beyond significant, and it's far beyond superior compared to you literally taking your guitar and plugging it directly into your Scarlett I2i.
Right.
And it's an insult to suggest that that is the same and no one's going to know the difference, including fans. They will hear a difference. They may not be able to tell what that difference is. Like you said, oh, that's a solid state. I can't even fucking do that.
Right.
I just know what sounds dope and what doesn't.
Right.
And it's about tone for me. Some guys are about the mix. Some guys are about the vocals. Some guys are about the drums. For me, a lot of it comes down to tone. Like, damn, that's some buttery guitar tone. And you can go back to 1970s records and hear some of the greatest guitar tone of all time. There was no digital effects.
Right.
And all of these digital effects and digital modeling amps and all that shit, they're all trying to be the tube version of whatever.
They're all trying to make that
like
amp.
None of them have actually created better tone.
Right.
It's how all of these things are designed to sound like the real thing.
All of the modeling amps are the branches of the Andy Reid coaching tree.
exactly, right? So like
Andy Reid is a 60s Marshall plexing.
And so I'm obsessed with the 5150/6505, right?
Yep.
The reason for it is, and you worked at GC just like I did, I do not think you can get a professional sounding amp, a truly professional sounding amp, for cheaper. You could fuck with a Valve King, but I think the Valve King has severe limitations compared to the real 5150, and I think the Valve King is the next cheapest.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's better amps out there than a 5150, but you're immediately jumping to a $2,000 price point.
Yeah.
At a minimum, right? Am I wrong? Tell me if I'm wrong, bud. You in fact, you probably work there and know more about this shit than I do. I may have run one of the guitar departments, but I think you did too. And you know what you're fucking talking about.
I stopped caring about it very quickly, though. I've had the same amplifier my entire life.
What do you rock?
The Fender Hot Rod Deluxe.
See, that's a great amp, but that's also a tube amp.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep, so it's a $700 tube amp. And if you want to play metal, it's not going to do it for you.
And
it's not.
Fender makes great solid state amps.
Yeah, they do.
But if I take your Fender solid state amp and I put it next to any tube amp, the volume differential of what you will be producing a higher level of decibels out of your amp, but no one's going to hear you. People will only hear my tube amp, which will actually be at a lower volume. And that's because it's not just headroom, but it's those fucking tubes. It does something to cut and produce greater frequency range. And they just have never done that in a solid state deal. I don't know. Call me crazy. I got to piss. Fucking
do it.
Riff on it, but...
Do it. I'm going to see what Devin Smeltzer's got in store for the bottom of the fifth here. He's cruising. Ooh.
That's a bad base hit to give up to, because that will turn into a double. Oh, he got him. He got him.
Got him.
What a play.
Nice play. There you go. Smeltzer's buying dinner for Polanco. Pretty damn good throw. Got him right on the chest. That was a hell of a play. Outstanding. And the huge out call from the umpire. Make sure it's all about you, buddy. That's what MLB's missing. Umpires just making the show about them. That'll get them. Draw the fans in. I don't even know what I'm talking about anymore. That's a pretty bad slide, though. He could have slid better. But I mean, just great throw. Great throw. Great
so
tag.
I'm really liking Smelter, man. Is what I'm noticing about Smelter. Smelter is he must be a dope human being because the guys clearly are here to play defense for him.
Yeah.
And it's one of two things. Either it's selfish motives and it's one of those deals like he gets his players involved. A lot of ground balls, obviously, we're seeing, right? Like his players are involved. Or he's just a dope dude, so they want to see him succeed because that play was pretty fucking incredible. And that's not something that you're seeing all the time because that should have been an easy double. It should have been a clean double. But there was some extra hustle in there, and these guys like this kid. That's what I'm seeing. I like him more and more. That was a great inning. And the way he has this fucking momentum going, if I'm manager, I'm giving him one more inning. I am. I want to give him 6.
He's got to go at least. I mean, you want 6 innings. Even today, it's not nearly as common as it was, but every day if you're the manager, when you're putting a pitcher out there, you want 6 innings.
You know what I want to start seeing?
More guys throw 6 innings without just blowing up in the fourth.
I want to see setup or closers start going 2 innings. One of them. I want to see a closer that's badass enough to go 2 innings on a regular basis. I want to see a setup guy that's badass enough to go 2 innings. So if you get 6... You still only need 3 pitchers for the night.
There's like Andrew Miller was a guy like that for a while.
Rivera was like that for a
while. Josh Hader from Milwaukee was a bit like that for a while, where he could go a couple of innings. But yeah, I do understand it because like the way these guys again, it all comes down to like the training that they've had their entire career has been to gun down 3 guys. So like, you see it times when it does that, Aroldis Chapman in the World Series for the Cubs coming back out there for a second inning and just like, he doesn't have gas left in the tank. Dude, right. You just had me throw 20 pitches at 105 miles per hour. It's empty, boss. And I'm not a fool you kind of guy. I'm a blow it right by you kind of guy. I'm the closer. This is what I'm trained to do. Can you catch 105?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Because most people can't.
Yeah.
They used to say the hardest thing to do in professional sports is hit a 90-mile-an-hour fastball. And I've always immediately gone, that's not true. The hardest thing to do is try to hit a 90-mile-an-hour fastball and then actually try to hit a fucking 80-mile-an-hour changeup. Well, that's what's going to fuck with your brain the most.
That was the entirety of Rich Harden's career as a pitcher. And he pitched for the A's and did pretty well, and he pitched for the Cubs for a while. But like, it was incredible to watch because he only had 2 pitches, a fastball and a changeup. And the fastball was like 95, and the changeup was like 75.
Yeah.
And the changeup would usually bounce in front of the plate. Like, I mean, this guy... his release point, his grip, everything about the 2 pitches was identical.
What are they doing? They're eating some stupid shit?
I don't know.
They're doing anything they can do to get ratings. Here's what you need to do. You need to just make the game better. First of all, the other thing they need to do is they need to stop playing baseball players so much. There's no way you can charge people this amount of money to go to a baseball game. Like the numbers are just too.
Why do the baseball players always get it, man? Why?
It's weird. It's weird how much baseball players make because I don't understand who's going to those games.
But why are the baseball players always the greedy ones? Like no other sport.
No.
Every other sport, the owners are the rich bastards.
Second of all.
And in baseball, it's always those greedy players are keeping us from having a season. Like the owners don't want to have games in April.
Well, I think
like opening day is a full house at every stadium. And after that, nobody comes to baseball games until May. You know why? Because it's fucking cold.
Yeah.
Owners
and that was my
hate
second point.
April baseball.
And that was my second point is the season's too long.
The season's too long for people who enjoy immediate results.
I think most sports are too long.
I don't understand why the NFL keeps trying to make. I do understand why the NFL keeps trying to make their season longer because they have this like golden goose that they think cannot be.
Well, technically, they're
destroyed.
not making it longer. Technically, they just moved a preseason game to a regular season
but
game.
They're making the season longer in that there's like more games that matter and have to pay attention to.
That's
I
true.
also don't understand. And
They
again,
also added a playoff
and
team.
again,
so-
I understand wanting to expand the playoffs, but I don't understand wanting to expand the playoffs. Like you keep more teams in it for longer. Yes, you generate more revenue by having more games. Yes, you keep a certain fan bases interested for longer because now their team has a better shot.
Sure.
But like by expanding, by all these leagues expanding their playoffs, it's like, well, where is any of the drama in this anymore?
Right.
When
And that was
everybody gets there.
that used to be the beauty of the NFL, right? Is they had 32 teams, but only 12 of them made the playoffs. So it was like literally
Baseball used to have 28 teams and only 4 of them made it.
right. So it was barely over a third, right? But hockey, the problem with hockey has always been literally half the league.
Half the league.
The problem with
basketball's that
baseball
way too now, isn't it?
I think so. And that was the problem with baseball, though, is the opposite. It was like only 4 teams get to make it
Right.
from each side. So it's 8 teams total.
Right.
And it was like, it's not
Well, no,
enough.
I mean, it was 4 teams, period.
Oh, that's right. No.
I mean, by the time we were growing up, it was
8.
8. But I mean, like, dude, you look at the golden era of baseball, the 50s and 60s and all that stuff. It was 4 teams. You won your division.
Yeah.
You played
it was a
team that won
smaller
the other
league
division.
back then, too, though. I don't think there was 28, 30 teams in the league. I think there was only like 20 or 24 back then.
The Rockies and
Rockies, Diamondbacks,
the
Rays.
The Rockies and the Rays came in at the no, the Diamondbacks and the Rays came in at the same time. The Rockies and anyway, I mean that was in 1993.
Maybe you're right. I don't fucking know.
I mean,
I'd have to think
and
about
that's
it more.
what got it to.
It still seems like there's not enough teams in the MLB playoffs. It really doesn't.
I don't even know how many there are anymore because they.
I feel like
goof with it
I
every
feel like
year.
the NFL had it figured out that it was about a third.
About a third.
That just makes so much sense because half is too much, and a quarter, which is what baseball used to be,
Right.
Even when it was 8 teams,
Yep.
it's about a quarter because you had 28 teams and then 30. It's
Yeah.
about, 8 is about a quarter of both of those. Because if it's 28 teams, 7 is a quarter, right? You see what I'm saying? 32, 8 is a quarter. So they're right in that range. No matter how you, that's not enough. It's just not enough. It's not interesting enough because it's always the same 4 to 8 teams is the point, right?
Yeah, I mean, I can see that from
So I don't like that football's expanding the playoffs is what I was getting at.
Yeah.
But I think hockey, I think their season is way too long. Way too long. You should not be having the Stanley Cup in June.
Shouldn't happen in the summer.
No.
Right. But then again, baseball shouldn't have
and that's what I was just gonna say is like baseball, the fucking World Series is now in November. Like what the fuck? Like how are the Twins ever gonna win a World Series when we're playing with snow on the ground? And I'm not saying snow on the ground is in like literally, but I don't think professional athletes embrace the idea of miserable conditions like they did back in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. Like, yeah, let's make them come here and play in the bitter cold because we're used to it. We're not fucking used to it either. These guys don't actually live here anymore. They fucking go home to the Dominican Republic or Cuba or fucking Florida or wherever the fuck these guys are from. Joe Mauer was the only one that was here all winter, which is probably why he was so fucking good in Minnesota. He's used to hitting frozen baseballs. Because didn't Joe Mauer, when you get back here, Glenn, didn't Joe Mauer have the greatest Twins average in April baseball history?
Probably.
I think I said that weird. I think if I remember right, Joe Mauer had the best average in April in Twins history. And
That's
it's because
probably
he's
true.
actually from here.
Because he could.
And so he's used to hitting frozen baseballs. You know what I mean? Like, and he didn't move away during the winter. So, like,
Right.
it was just a different. None of these guys embrace no Minnesota Twin is going to love the idea of playing the World Series in Minnesota in November.
Right.
Like, they're not going to sit there and embrace the
Well, I think that was,
like, let's make them miserable. Make them come to Minnesota.
I think that was the whole point of the Metrodome.
Right. It's exactly what. No more rainouts, no more nothing. I think this should be a retractable deal, but I also think that about the football stadium.
Right.
I think both of these teams are assholes, and they both went the wrong way. I think both the Twins and the Vikings are complete assholes, and they both went the wrong way.
Yeah.
I think the Vikings should have had a pure open air stadium, and I think the Twins should have had a retractable stadium. Like, to me, it's not rocket science.
Right.
Because there's, even at the fucking US Bank Stadium, whoa, they want to be able to do concerts there. Well, here's the fucking deal. That thing is never sold out properly.
Right.
Like, you can't actually sell out US Bank Stadium for a concert. It's not real.
Right.
Even when you do, it's restricted capacity, meaning they put the stage in the middle of the floor and the entire back half is still fucking empty.
Right.
It's never actually sold out for anything other than a football game. So it's too fucking big for anything other than that. Let's just admit that. Create a beautiful outdoor stadium that everybody can enjoy outdoor football.
Right.
The weather can become an advantage for us again, like Soldier Field and like Lambeau Field. Like,
you can have concerts there in the summertime, when there's not fucking football anyway.
And they all. But then is what you can really do is in the winter when you want to have concerts, you can do it at Target Field, which is a fucking literal amphitheater.
Right.
Yeah. Baseball stadiums are better for concerts. Period. The way they're built actually makes more sense. Right. And there's very few people in this world that can draw more than 32,000 people to a stadium for a concert. And the people that can do that are not doing it in the middle of the winter.
Especially now that concert tickets cost $450 a pop.
And whoever thought of this idea clearly has no knowledge of the actual music business, because anybody worth their weight in salt in the music industry does not want to tour in Minnesota in the winter. It's dangerous. They don't want to drive in that.
Yeah.
So they book their tours in the northern states during the summer when that stadium would be totally cool to play in.
The bands that you see in Minnesota in the winter are the bands that have to tour to make a living.
Thank you. Thank you, brother. That is exactly it.
And you
including the big ones.
Yep.
Including the big ones.
Yep. So and there's a lot of punk and metal bands and singer-songwriters.
But I've even seen Taylor Swift come through in the middle of the winter.
Yeah.
But that's saying something. That means her machine is so big.
Right.
And we offered her so much money. They're like, okay, that's worth it.
Yep.
But guess what? She's still not actually drawing 70,000 people to US Bank Stadium. It's not possible.
Right.
Because her stage takes up the entire bottom half. Behind her stage is completely closed off.
Yeah.
It's just not a thing. And it's ridiculous to suggest that it is. So they should have made this retractable. There's your indoor winter concerts that have to happen. And you can build extra stadium seating and you can do whatever the fuck you want. Not in that version of Target Field.
Right. I saw Bruce Springsteen at Wrigley Field.
Really?
It was
I bet that was
awesome.
dope.
Yeah.
I bet that was dope as fuck.
There were people on the roof.
Like across the street
in the rooftop Waverly Avenue seats. I was like, you got to be fucking kidding me. And like, he comes out on stage.
Explain to people that don't know what you're talking about, because we do have a lot of international listeners that may actually watch this.
I suppose.
So they have no idea what you're talking about.
So Wrigley Field in Chicago, where the Cubs play, there are buildings across the street that, for as long as I remember, have had seats on top of them. And people buy seats to sit on top of the building across the street from Wrigley Field and watch.
Yeah, it's sort of like the State Fair, right? So like they own prime real estate because they happen to live there. And sometimes they'll be up there watching shit, but really is what they do is they go up and say, I will fucking go on Craigslist and sell a seat on my own roof so you can watch the game at Wrigley Field.
Yep. And now they've built like bleachers and shit up there. I mean, it's
because it got dangerous.
Yep, it's a whole deal.
They couldn't stop it. It got dangerous.
But yeah, so like Bruce Springsteen comes out on stage and, you know, of course, how's everybody doing tonight? Yeah, up there on the roof. How you doing up on the roof?
Well, and when they remodeled it, didn't they build like an homage too? So they like built a little building with some shit on top of it to make you feel like you were in one of those.
I haven't been there since they remodeled it, which is a damn shame.
I seen a game there when I was like 12.
I do enjoy a trip to Wrigley Field, but it's been too long.
I literally seen a game there when I was like 12 or 14 or something. I was really young, but I did appreciate and understand what was happening. Like, this is Wrigley Field. I was a big baseball fan. I was probably 15 or 16.
Yep.
I wasn't old enough to drive. No, I was. I was probably 12, 13, 14, because I'm pretty sure I was playing baseball still.
Yeah.
Maybe. I might have already been smoking weed, and if I was smoking weed, that means I was 14, 15, or 16. Those 6 years were a wild swing for me.
Yeah.
Those 4 years, from 12 to 16, were a wild swing. But, yeah, I was. My grandma took me to Chicago. And somebody I was with asked me, we were with, because it was like a kind of family trip, sort of. And I think it was the guy that my aunt happened to be dating.
Yeah.
And no one else was interested in this. But he's like, dude, you want to go see a game at Wrigley Field? I was like, yeah. Like, I understood and appreciated what was happening. So I was old enough for that. But it's a shitty stadium.
It is.
Like, honestly, the ivy on the wall in the outfield is the only cool part about it.
Yeah.
The sightlines are terrible. There's pillars everywhere.
And
it's
nobody's
pure
watching
concrete.
The game.
It's a shithole. The whole thing smells like piss. There's literally cats and rats everywhere.
Yep. Nobody's watching the game. Everybody's just drinking.
This is over 20 years ago. This is like 20, 25 years ago. So this is a long time ago, but it was an actual shithole, dude. It was
they took Smeltzer out.
That hurts. Give him one more inning. Unless they want to get a look at this kid. You know, looks like he, as a relief pitcher, 3.06 as your ERA is not that bad. I'd still like to see it around 2.5.
So there you go. So he's got a 4-pitch mix that he uses.
So is he long relief, or are they grooming him as a future starter?
I feel like he was being groomed to be a starter. Like a lot of people, if you don't follow baseball, like a lot of guys do not come straight up and start starting games.
Right.
They pitch out of the bullpen for a while to kind of get used to Major League Baseball batters, and they a lot of times they will be of the long relief variety, which means that a guy comes in. Long relievers are typically used when your starter does not make it through that 5 or 6 inning mark, because you need somebody to pitch. Now you need somebody to pitch multiple innings, not just come out there and gun somebody down.
They let Smeltzer get into the 6th.
It looks like it. Yeah, he got one out.
So maybe he just hit that 100 pitch count. You know what I mean?
Could be. I mean, I
wasn't paying attention to the last.
Again, this is the 3rd time through the lineup, so it's a little. It gets to be that dicey section for a lot of pitchers. Especially the guys who are more, well, maybe not especially, but I mean, like the guys who are more control guys, now like I said, the batters have seen your arsenal. They know where you're going.
No, he didn't go. I see what you're saying, though. So, yeah, this has got to be only the 3rd time through the lineup, unless they've gotten a lot of hits, which I can't think.
No, I mean, that first inning, they.
This could be the 4th time through the lineup. You know what I mean? If we had enough hits or walks, like, it's possible. He might be in the 4th.
I don't think it is, though. I think the Twins are on their 4th time through the lineup.
I wish they would put that stat shit up more, because that is a big deal.
I think that stuff is more. I don't understand why there's always a ticker and not like a stat box down there more often.
Yeah, exactly. I give a fuck what's happening across the MLB right now. I want to understand, as a regular Root fan, I would want to know more about what's happening in this game.
Especially in the day and age of, phones and internet and et cetera, et cetera. Like, it's weird to me that it seems like the farther we've come with having technology at our fingertips, the more they show us the information that we used to want to have when we didn't.
Right.
You know, like I remember.
Yeah, now they have the ability to easily throw anything they want down there. So they've given us less and less.
Well, and if I want to know what the goddamn score of the Cardinals game is, I look that up on my phone. You know, so tell me down there, you know. So yeah, show me down there what. Show me Hunter Dozier's stats. You know, leave that up there.
Yeah, leave that down there. I want to see those stats.
Or up. They used to do it up in the corner too.
Because especially even for like us, because like honestly, I think like I was talking to somebody on a podcast recently. And I said, you know why I know baseball's fucked? Like it's like destined to die. Because if you go to Twitch.tv and you look up Premier League wiffle ball. Yeah. It's professional wiffle ball. It's played in Vegas.
Yikes.
It is significantly more entertaining than real baseball. And these guys are like good. Like, because there's crazy weird rules that make sense. And it's like, oh, that is insanely hard. So, for example, maximum speed is 55 miles an hour per pitch. If you throw over 55 miles an hour, it's a ball.
It's a ball.
Yeah. So not only can you do all this crazy shit with a wiffle ball, but you're not allowed to try to be a muscle guy as a pitcher. Dude, there was a dude who injured his fucking left arm, or maybe it was his right arm. So he had to go up and bat one-armed, and he still fucking had a badass game. Like, they won. They won with him in the lineup. It's dope, dude. Professional wiffle ball is hilariously awesome. In a non-cheesy, drunken kind of way. The fact that that's possible is not a good thing for baseball. Because I think what we've been kind of hinting at, and I don't know if either one of us is alluding to it or we just haven't said it yet or whatever, but I think one of the biggest problems is most people don't understand what's actually going on other than strike, ball, home run, out. I really like double play. I mean, the very basics of it, like the significance of what's happening. And so, yeah, when you are talking about that, like these guys are, like we are, keep that stat up there and let us or let the broadcasters deep dive into the significance of that stat and leave it there so people can understand what the fuck is going on. So they can, like the way John Madden used to break down football.
Right. Well, that's part of the problem with baseball is the biggest problem with baseball is its perception amongst people. But a lot of the reason for that perception is the whole baseball's always been a really, like, to use a phrase that you just used, gatekeeper-ish.
Oh, sure.
Like baseball never wanted casual baseball fans. Baseball was America's pastime because it was a slow, lazy way to spend your Sunday afternoon or your evening after work. You know, we didn't live in baseball was successful when we weren't in a, like, everything up to the second kind of society. And baseball has never come up with a way to evolve beyond that.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about, like, that's the other issue is they're always talking about, like, ways to change the game and speed up the game and this and that with the game and let's throw some wrenches into the game. Like, the game itself is not that broken. You just need people to understand it and you need people to want to be into it. And part of that, I think a huge thing is the lack of, like, the best player in baseball for the last 10 years was Mike Trout. Mike Trout is literally the most boring human being in the entire world. He's a boring ass white guy. And he goes out there and he plays baseball and he does a good job of it and he doesn't say much.
Yeah, because I was going to say Manny being Manny and Big Papi. That was different level, but you're right. They've been gone for a long time now already.
But look, how did baseball get successful again after the strike basically wiped it out?
Great pitching.
Sammy Sosa and Mark McGwire. Like Sosa and McGwire and the home run chase. Don't forget
about Roger Clemens' comeback. Don't forget about Mariano Rivera.
All that stuff happened, but nobody paid attention to baseball until Sosa and McGwire were trying for the home run crown.
You think?
Pretty much. And but there was something for people to watch. There was something, and you.
What got me back into baseball was the Twins being significant again in the late '90s, early 2000s, and going up against the fucking. It was the A's in one round, and then we lost to the Angels. The Angels beat the Yankees and won the World Series.
Yeah,
like that was an amazing time to be a Twins fan.
Yeah,
it was great. It was great. It really was. And then we never won another playoff game. That's the sad part about it. But we did make it to the playoffs like year after year after year. So there was always hope. We had Mauer, we had Morneau. That's what got me back into it. But what made baseball exciting, because I remember watching World Series games. Don't forget about fucking I mentioned Clemens and I mentioned Rivera. But don't forget about what's his fuck for the fucking Red Sox when they came back down from 3 games to nothing.
And Schilling.
And beat, Kurt Schilling, and came back with the bloody sock.
Yeah, but he's a twat.
Doesn't matter. It was an exciting baseball moment in history
because the Red Sox winning the World Series was a huge fucking deal.
And they came back from 3 games down to the Yankees to do it. That was dope. That was unbelievable. I remember watching the Yankees rise back to greatness when they won that. When they came back again, they came back down from 2 games to nothing to sweep the Atlanta Braves in the World Series.
Yeah. Well, and honestly, the Cubs winning the World Series should have been bigger for baseball than it was. But part of the problem was they were playing the Indians.
The biggest problem is they didn't win it in 2015.
Yeah.
Because that was the Back to the Future prophecy.
Well, yeah.
If they would have done it in 2015, that would have broken the internet.
Probably.
Like, you would still see memes about it today.
I mean, it was still a big deal when they won, but it should have been bigger for baseball than it was.
They missed the meme, is what I'm saying.
Right.
Like, that's what today's pop culture is about. Even sports culture is it a memeable moment? Like the Minneapolis Miracle was. We didn't even win the Super Bowl that year. But that is still a meme on the internet.
Holy God, I remember that.
I was at that game.
I was at the bar.
Sort of. I was sort of at that game. I was tailgating at that game. I gave away my tickets, but I was tailgating. I was there. I was
working at O'Gara's. I was running the kitchen, and it was we had done a shuttle to that game, and I'm just gonna say I, as a kitchen manager, was woefully underprepared for the amount of business we were gonna do that day.
Shit.
And it was just the whole day was basically for me was like a comedy of like, hey boss, I don't mean to bring you down anymore, but we're gonna have a problem with this now too. And so just like coming up with shit on the fly to make things happen and being like, oh my God, am I still gonna have this job tomorrow? Like kind of craziness. And then, you know, the place was packed. The place
actually
was
that's a sneaky nice play. Like that looks like an easy routine catch, but that's actually really not. That's actually one of those weird ones when you're trying to catch a ball to your side and it's low. Because this fielder wasn't really going to be able to come up on that ball. They're not going to give us a replay on it. That was actually a great catch. That was one of those plays that like sneaks through the radar. It'll never make anybody's highlight reel.
Right.
But like, especially in a night where we've seen a lot of bad fielding, that was a sneaky great play. Yeah, I'm also disappointed in baseball broadcasting and the presentation of the game.
Yeah,
right. Like you said, they think they need to speed the game up. They think they need to change the game. No. The problem is all other pro sports have adapted to how it's watched on TV. And the baseball is like still catering to people who are now 100 years old.
Right.
You know, there's 8 of them left in the country, and they can't read any of that shit down there on the ticker. You know what I mean? Like they literally have been the last.
Right. Well, and maybe I mean, like
sport to modernize their presentation to a younger generation.
Yeah, well, and they've tried, and the only thing they ever try is the like cheesy graphic shit, you know, or the bizarre camera, the stuff that every time I see the NFL do it, I'm like, come on, you guys are better than that. Like,
no, is what
you've known how to present games for a while, but like, Yeah, and I don't know. I obviously I don't know what the answer is. I don't know. Like there was,
you need a better team in the booth. It's really that simple. You need 3 or 4 guys if you don't have.
See, I think when you
what's his name from the Cubs? Who's the classic Cubs announcer?
Harry Carey.
Okay, if you don't have Harry Carey, then you need 3 or 4 guys, and every game needs to feel like Monday Night Football. If I can't be there, you need to be able to like not hype it up, but they have to have so much fun in the booth that it's okay that I'm not there. Like almost like a podcast, almost like a radio show, right? That's why there's 4, 5, 6 people on a morning show,
right?
Because that's how many people it takes to make something that fucking boring fun.
I can see that, but I think like, and this is gonna be me being kind of gatekeepery on the subject, but like when you do that, you drive away that core of fans who do want to see. Who just want to watch a baseball game, who just want to hear a game called by like a Vin Scully or something like that, where it's like, I am just going to talk about the game and I'm going to tell you interesting little stories.
Then they can mute the TV and listen to it on the radio. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
You got to find that compromise because I mean, the ratings for TV definitely aren't there. There's less and less kids that want to play the sport.
Well, the fact that baseball did not immediately and continues to not take the opportunity to get like a streaming platform that makes sense, it is mind-boggling. Like the thing about, part of the thing that made the NFL successful and as successful as it is that that's what you did on Sundays, no matter what.
And it's never been on cable.
Right. It was,
well, I mean, they have the ESPN shit now, but
like, and you did not have to worry about, you always got to see a game. You always get to see your home team play, and then you always get to see 2 more games after that.
Yep.
There was the afternoon game or the morning game, depending on where you lived, and then there was the evening game, and then Monday night they had another game. I honestly think I think it's nuts to keep trying to expand it to the point where it's pretty much every day of the week now. But that's me. I'm not interested enough that I'm gonna like set aside 4 days out of my week to watch the NFL.
So here's how they get away with that, though, because your team still only plays 17 games a year, regular season games. This goes back to what we were talking about. Baseball does the exact same thing. No one's setting aside time to watch 6 baseball games in 10 days. It's just not going to happen.
Right.
You pick 1 or 2 you can make time for, or you listen to it on the radio, right? So there's too many games as well.
Right. I think they could cut it down to like 140.
I think that's still too many. I think it should just be 100 games.
I think
100 games would be dope. I think 100 games for that would be dope.
But I mean, it has to be a fairly big amount of. It has to be a fairly large amount of games. Baseball's not a game. Baseball's not a game that like you play one game and that's the answer to the question.
Correct.
The way that football is, or the way that to some extent
you are correct.
Hockey and basketball are closer to.
Yeah,
they're the in between thing. You do have to play a couple of games against people, but like otherwise, you'd just have 3 pitchers.
Well,
you'd have the starter, the setup guy, and the closer.
That's what I think, honestly, does make both baseball, or all 3, baseball, basketball, and hockey, more pure sports, because usually, almost always, the better team wins because the playoffs are a series.
Yeah.
In football, man, the best team does not always win.
No, it's the hot. Yeah, but I mean, like
whoever's more disciplined that day, that's really what it boils down to. That was a bad home run. And that was a bad home run to give up, too.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that was my buddy Mike for a second. Then I was like, oh, wait, we're not in Minneapolis. That can't be Mike. Yeah, that's not a good home run to give up. Now we're down to a 2-run lead, bottom of the 7th.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's a big difference. Oh,
yeah,
who was that?
Not a good pitch.
Who did we give that up to? Duffy.
Oh, Carlos Santana.
Oh, so there's your boy.
There we are. Yeah,
122. I told you he won't finish the season at 122.
Well, and they just said they were booing him on his way back to the dugout after his last at bat. Oh yeah, get yourself a souvenir, homeboy.
Does he have one of those weird nicknames where it's like The Boom.
I don't know.
Is he the Boom? Is he, Carlos the Boom Santana?
That's the thing too. Is like baseball needs. I think baseball needs to go back to the like old timey nicknames.
100%.
Where you had guys who were just like
Major League.
Yeah, but I'm talking like the 1920s where it was like the Polish peach comes out to the mound to get like just ridiculous names like that. Mm-hmm. That's what I think the world.
Have you seen this fucking viral Harlem Globetrotters?
If you say,
thing?
"Have you seen this viral?" There's a 90% chance I'm going to say no.
You're on Instagram, right?
Nope.
You on Facebook?
I'm on Facebook.
Of course you are, because I tagged you earlier.
Right.
So, there's a basically the Harlem Globetrotters of baseball is now a thing.
Yeah.
It's going viral all over the internet. There's two teams. I think it's the Bananas versus the Monsters or something like that. And they've completely taken over like baseball entertainment. They do crazy gimmicks. So the pitcher and all of the infield, they'll be like sitting there getting ready to do a pitch, and then they'll all like do 5 seconds of a choreographed dance and then just whip that baseball in there.
Yeah.
And whether it's rigged or not, it's entertaining. And then one dude lit his bat on fire and like dragged it behind him as he came to the fucking plate, and it looks cool as fuck. And then he literally fucking whips it up and like he bats with a bat that's on fire. Like, so when that pitch comes in and he finally hits it, it looks cool as fuck, dude. It's dope, dude. It's cool. Minor league gimmicky baseball.
Right.
I don't even know if the players like get paid. They definitely get paid because they travel, because it's the same two teams every time.
Mm-hmm.
And they travel that pairing around.
So it is the Harlem Globetrotters.
I just don't know if only one team wins.
Oh, fair enough.
That's the only thing I don't know. Is does one team always win like the Harlem Globetrotters, or is it these two teams go out there with a bunch of gimmicks and see who can actually win?
Yeah.
I have no idea, but they're taking over Instagram. Like,
interesting.
I literally see one of their videos every single day.
Yeah.
Somebody's sharing it, and it's like, fuck yeah, I get it. Gimmicky minor league baseball. It's almost like somebody took Brockmire.
Yeah.
Have you seen that show?
I watched the first 2 seasons.
I think you might be the person who asked me originally. Somebody asked me if I'd ever seen Brockmire on the podcast, and I was like, no, not yet. And I finally started watching it, and I had watched like 2 episodes of it and been like, this is funny, and then completely forgot that it existed.
Keep going.
And then like just recently I watched like the first 2 seasons of it. Isn't it great? Yeah. I think it's amazing, especially when he starts the podcast. Yeah. Like, it makes me feel like such a loser. My thing is that really makes me, that show makes me feel like a genuine loser.
I think part of what I enjoy about that show is the same thing that I enjoy about Cobra Kai on Netflix, is that like I really identify with people who are getting older and have no grasp of how technology and what is hip work.
That I think is the best show that's come on in a long time. Cobra Kai. I'm
a huge fan of just being able to sit back and go like, oh yes, I also do not understand Twitter. This is my life. Here I am.
So, do you understand NFTs?
No. Nope. Not beyond what you were saying earlier.
Here's the easiest way to explain it. Imagine what you did with those vinyls.
Yep.
But digitally online in a limited release. And the way you can protect that is encryption. And it's tracked for you through the blockchain. And then it gets even better.
I remember encryption from when I watched Sneakers a lot in the 90s.
It gets even better.
It's one of the most underrated movies of all time.
Because I'm not just buying your album, right? If you sell me your NFT, I'm not just buying the rights to that album, right?
Yeah.
You're selling me, or I'm not just buying that album, which is a copy of your music. I'm buying the ownership rights of that copy of your album.
Okay.
You can build into the NFT whatever you want, including 100% back to you. But if you want, you can crowdsource that fucking thing in advance and be like, hey, yo, here's the deal. So what did you sell that vinyl for in real life?
I don't remember, $25.
Okay, so you could do it like that again, or you could literally build an NFT that this is how it works. You buy the NFT, it's $250. You get a digital certificate and copy of the record. And just for a bonus, like just, so you have something in your hand, we'll send you a real vinyl record like this.
Right.
But really what you're buying is you now own the rights to this copy of this record. So then let's say you all of a sudden, well, let's say I'm the one that bought it from you, right?
Sure.
Because it's your band. But I host this podcast, right? And so I'm like, I fucking love this album. I'm going to use this because I own the rights to this copy of this album. And you've built this into the thing where I'm allowed to do this. So I'm like, I'm going to fucking play this on my podcast as my intro and outro music. I fucking love it. I think it's great. And then all of a sudden my podcast blows up and I'm making $100,000 per episode or whatever the fuck crazy podcast. Maybe it's $10,000 per episode.
Right.
Well, the blockchain will figure out while that's being played, right? This is how much revenue is being built because YouTube can automatically read the fucking NFT, can just figure it out. So it's like, oh yeah, during this, you're $10,000 for a 3-hour podcast, right? So per minute, this is how much you're making. I play 9 minutes of your song. So I owe you X, right?
Right.
Sort of. I've made X amount of dollars off X amount of time of your music. You could build it right into your NFT that you get 80% of that and I get 20. Or you could say I get 80 and you get 20. Or you could say you get 100 and I get 0. You can do whatever the fuck you want and you don't need BMI or ASCAP to track it down and pay you. You don't need a record label to handle that for you, take a cut and then pay you. It's all built into the actual file that's sitting out there online.
Nice.
And then if I'm an asshole or greedy or whatever and you blow up, and the Grand Machine becomes the fucking biggest rock band in the world, and
which is bound to happen.
And I literally have one of 100 NFTs of your original album. Maybe I bought it for $250. I can turn around and sell it for $50,000 if I want, and still you get whatever the percentages that you encrypted for yourself. It might be 1% back to you. It might be 99% back to you. But it's you can't get fucked anymore is the point, and you don't need a record label to police it for you. You don't need ASCAP or BMI to police it for you. It's actually kind of brilliant, and you can imagine this any way you want now. You can do anything you want as an NFT. I could make every fucking version of this podcast one NFT. So I could sell it to you for $1. Every podcast I do, I NFT it, I download it, and I sell one for $1,000, or I sell 100 of them for $1. It doesn't fucking matter. I can do whatever I want. And then that person who buys that episode of that podcast, they don't own the rights to that episode. They own the rights to that copy of that episode. You feel me?
Yep.
It's actually simple when you think about it in enough platforms, but we just got to see a little bit more of it before everybody catches on, which is why it's important that people like us, especially on the lower level, figure out how to apply it. And I ain't learning none of this shit at this conference. They're talking about big people with like fan bases that are already engaged.
Right.
I'm saying, dude, there's something we can do at a local small level just for hobbies on the side. Like, and it's cool, dude. I'm learning a lot, but I don't have all the answers yet. But that is the future. It really is. The more and more I'm sitting here like, no, this is the real deal.
I feel like bringing Duffy in was the wrong way to go.
I agree.
This hasn't been good.
Oh, he's getting hit around the ballpark, man. It's getting ugly. Yeah, that's a bad hit.
There's always so much hope in baseball.
I mean, it's a great hit. It's a bad hit to give up.
I love the fact that it's always like, now the tying run's at second base. It's like, yo, like that's a ways off. Like, he's still only at second base. Like,
yeah, but he's in scoring position, and a good quality base hit brings both of those guys home.
Oh no, it does. It absolutely does. You never hear, like, you wouldn't hear in the NFL like, and the tying drive is only 7 plays away from now, or like,
yeah. I mean, they do say that. They do it, though. They like, oh, and now they're across midfield, and they're 1 possession away from, or they're 1 score away.
no, it's only a 2-possession game.
Yeah, you
don't want to leave Aaron Rodgers with that much time on the clock. Yeah, you do. Just play defense. If anybody knew how to play defense anymore, it wouldn't be a goddamn problem.
I think a lot of the announcers just sound too bored most of the time. They're too chill.
Baseball, or
yeah, they're just too chill. Like, it needs to be more exciting. It needs to be fun. Like, I think we're having a better time having a lively commentary than most baseball announcers on TV right now.
That's probably true, but I do feel like they have an awful lot of information that they have to like continue to rattle off.
I think ours would be even better if we had that. If we had a stat crew behind us. Yeah, if we had a stat crew behind us, like pumping us information, I think you and I could actually be super dope at calling baseball games. Because I'll just sit here and drink beer.
Right.
And then hopefully I get a good buzz going by at least the 6th or 7th inning, and then I can really start talking shit.
Yeah. So the Brockmeyer approach then.
Yeah, but I'm only drinking beer. That's the difference.
That's fair, yeah. No cocaine.
No cocaine, no super hard alcohol. What was he drinking in that? Whiskey and fucking basically anything that would get him extremely fucked up.
Yeah, just anything. Although the drink a beer episode.
Like yeah.
At Matane, drink a beer.
Oh, that's a base hit. Drink a beer. Oh, it's a strikeout. Drink a beer. Because they needed to make X amount of dollars. So literally anything that happened in the game was an excuse to go drink a beer.
Yeah, because they needed X amount of revenue, and the most money they had made was the game where there had been like a brawl and the game was canceled and everybody just stayed to drink.
Yep, something like that, yeah. How do we get people to drink even more than they already do? I think that's what it was. Today's drink a beer day.
Drink a beer. Which is actually how I used to behave at baseball games too. Is always just kind of like, where can I find another one of these? I've been to games at Target Field where I literally like went to my seat to see where it was, sat down, watched the first half an inning, got up to go get a beer, wandered around looking at things, and then when I ran out of beer, found another place to get a beer.
So I do it almost the exact same way, but in a different order. So when I get there, I think we might lose this game.
Well, Buxton held the runner on second.
So I think when we get there at the baseball game, we walk around first.
Yeah.
We grab a beer, get our drinks, get settled, but we don't go to our seats.
Yeah.
We walk around the stadium and see like, where do we want to spend time watching the game today? Because like based on where the wind is coming from and where the sun is, the temperature out, like there's different spots and
because you can hang out. I mean, like regardless of where your seats are, you can hang out in one of those bars and watch the game out the window.
And not only that, but I'm also talking those weird walk-up benches behind that are everywhere around the entire on all levels. So I even literally
just to let the like viewers know, we're not talking about like buying the cheap seats and then like sneaking down to the front row.
In fact, it's oftentimes the opposite. You can get a nice seat down below, but sometimes it's a better vibe upstairs.
Yeah.
So I'll go to the cheap seats, even though point is then somewhere in the middle of the game, I will go and be like, all right, let's go watch one full inning in our seats. And then we'll go find them in like literally the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th inning, whatever.
Yep.
And then we have one inning and then we're like, all right, fuck this. Let's go back and where we had already figured out the dope spot is.
Right.
Because rarely is the best seat in the house any of the actual seats. It's usually a standing room spot.
Yeah.
And like there's a vibe. Like either there's something going on in that area, or you found the food you like, or the bar, or the bartender,
or the beer you like. I mean, like there's
it's so hard to explain what I'm trying to talk about. Sometimes it's literally because that's where the fucking sun is, and it's a little chilly, and it's windy everywhere else. And
sometimes
it's because the most pleasant place to stand.
Sometimes it's because that's where the shade is, and it's 95 fucking degrees out.
Exactly.
That's the.
Target Field is a beautiful field. There is no bad seat in that place, but every day there's a different best seat. That's what I was trying to say.
That's fair. Yeah, I could get behind that.
And it's rarely in an actual seat.
That's a very baseball thing to say.
Fuck you, Glenn.
I mean, that's a super.
Great.
There's not a bad seat in the house, but every day there's a different best seat.
Oh my God,
the
you're
Minnesota
right.
Twins at Target Field.
Fuck you. You guys can't have that. That's copyright, trademark, mine. That's mine. Fuck you, Twins. Pay me.
Make an NFT out of it.
I will. And the fucking Poleads are greedy as fuck, so fuck them. You can't have that. You do not have permission, Minnesota Twins. Fuck you guys. Win a World Series and then we'll talk.
There you go.
You fucking piece of shit. Oh,
Tell us how you really feel.
The Poleads, dude, the owner of the Poleads, or the owner of the Twins, Carl or whatever, whoever the fuck it was back in the day.
Carl?
I don't fucking remember. Whoever it was, Jim or fucking whoever it was.
I think it's Jim now. It was Carl back in the day.
And I don't remember who it was then. I just remember he was like the owner. He came into Guitar Center Edina to buy some shit for fucking karaoke. They were doing a karaoke night, right? And so he was like, "Oh, I'm fucking out shopping. I'll stop by Guitar Center and blah blah blah." And so they came in about like a microphone and a self-powered PA speaker, and they were asking me how to hook it up and stuff. And I can't remember how it came up. Oh, that's what it was. Is he handed me his ID to pay for everything, and I was like, "Wait a minute, are you like the Jim Poland?" And he was cool at first, and he goes, "I mean, I think I'm the Jim Poland. I mean, that's what it says on my ID, right?" And I was like, I looked at him and I was like, "Holy shit, that is you." And he goes, "Does that give me a discount or something?" And I almost wanted to flick the ID back in his face and kick him out of the fucking store. You cheap piece of shit. You're an actual billionaire buying $180 worth of equipment, and you have the balls to even talk about a discount, you cheap piece of shit. So Carson comes up and he goes, "Jim Poland, huh?" And I go, "Yeah, what a fucking prick." And he goes, "What?" And I go, "He actually fucking said, you blah, blah." And he goes, "Is what you should have told him is, yeah, I'll give you a discount if you spend that fucking money on a pitcher, you cheap piece of shit." And that's when I knew I loved Carson. I was like, Carson's the man. Everybody else hates him, but I love him.
I'm going to go ahead and respectfally disagree with that.
Yeah, nobody likes Carson except for me. I'm the only person that works for Carson that loves Carson, except for Corey Wobenick.
Yeah, that's true.
Corey's actually close friends with him. I loved Carson because Carson respected me. And it was because we had a certain employee in Edina who was a fucking moron. And he was the epitome of moron, right? But he was a good person and everybody liked him and he was trustworthy and he was honest, right? But he was an idiot. He never was good at sales. He never made a real commission check. And he was kind of a bitch. But no one respected him is the real point. Right. I don't remember what Carson was saying. This was the moment I earned Carson's respect, and this is the moment Carson started treating me differently, and this was truly when I loved him. It's like, I do not fucking treat me like ...
Right.
I'm like, don't fucking do that. And he looked at me like, "What did you just say?" And I go, "I'm not a fucking idiot. Just tell me how it really is, and then we can just deal with that together and like kick some ass. But don't sit here and try to pitch me some motivational bullshit about how this is better for me. Fuck off, dude. I'm a grown-ass man. I've made millions of dollars for other people, and I've never made $1 million myself, but I understand what the fuck's going on here." And he goes, "Okay, cool. Here's what it is." And I go, "Oh, well, that sucks, but okay, I can deal with that. Like, I can actually deal with that. That fucking does suck. You're right. But I got this now. Because now I understand why we're dealing with this bullshit." And that was it, dude. And him and I had a great relationship ever since. I'll still talk to him maybe once a year. Yeah. I'll literally call him. He'll actually pick up, chat for 20 minutes, a half hour. And it's like maybe once a year. And yeah, Kevin, my boy Kevin, doesn't have a good relationship with him. You apparently don't have a good relationship because you were, was it Sean Smith? Was that his name?
No. That was Sean Smith, but that was way after or way before me.
Oh, okay. So you weren't a Sean Smith guy.
Nope.
Yeah, there's like generations, just like sports teams, right? Like, I was drafted by this coach. That's my coach. Who was the guy that brought you in?
Marvelous.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah.
So that's your guy.
Yeah.
That's your guy. Which is crazy because you were probably already friends with him.
I don't think I actually knew him. Actually, it was the Matt Anderson got me to come over there because I had just started playing drums in the Grand Machine and I was tired of plowing snow in the wintertime. And he was like bitching about not having a drum guy. And I was like, so like, what's the story with that? And he's like, do you really want to sell drums for minimum wage and commission? I'm like, if I don't have to fucking like sit around for 3 weeks with nothing to do and then go plow snow for 36 hours straight and not make enough money to pay my mortgage, then yeah, like let's do that. So I went in and I interviewed with with Will and he gave me the job, and yeah, that was it was weird. So I was an AM and then I was going to transfer over to Roseville from Oakdale, and then it was exactly the same time that Will wound up transferring over to run Roseville. So like I always worked for him until they needed a sales manager at Oakdale, and I went back there, and then I worked for about 12 different people.
Right. Oakdale was a weird store for the longest time. Did you ever work with Phil Mall?
Yeah.
Dope dude.
Yeah.
Dope dude. Until I just had my last experience with him over at Roseville. And
really?
Now I consider him to be a legit cunt. Like, the way he acted and behaved, it was like, fuck you, Phil. Like, dude, we used to work together. Like, fuck you, man. Like, I haven't worked here for 15 years or 10 years, whatever the fuck it is. I don't fucking remember. But I don't remember all the shit you know. Just because I worked here 10 years ago, I don't know how things are now.
Right.
And I don't necessarily accurately remember how things were back then. Don't fucking treat me like this, dude.
Right.
Like, and he was just a cunt, dude. Like, he really was. He was a cunt, man. And I get it. It was during holiday season. I get it. I remember working there during holiday season. But nah, man, like, he was so cool. And this is what I think it really was. He was so cool when we worked together. He was so chill. He was so laid back. For him to be like that, it's like, no, literally, fuck him. And I will never shop at Roseville Guitar Center again, ever. Like, that's how fucking cunty he was. It wasn't just a one-day thing. It's like, I'll never forget this, and I'll openly talk shit about you forever. Like, that's how big of a cunt he was that day. It's like, fuck you, dude.
That sucks.
Fuck you, man.
I haven't been over there in a while. I don't buy guitar
There's
stuff.
nothing worth going to Guitar Center anymore for.
I don't buy guitar stuff.
It's a terrible experience. Maple Grove is probably the closest to, like, our GC experience, where the dudes are cool. The dudes are cool, like, and they know what they're talking about, and they're willing to help you or leave you the fuck alone. Dude, Roseville,
I always laugh when I walk in there.
Roseville feels like you're in the Apple store.
I always laugh when I walk in there and I see like 5 people and none of them says hi to me because I'm like, my God, I would have gotten grilled for a fucking hour if I didn't say hi to somebody.
Yep, everything about it sucks now, including the people, the vibe, the layout, the what they did with the planogram. Like, it feels like you're in an Apple store.
God, I haven't heard the word planogram in a long time.
It feels like you're in an Apple store, dude. It's not a good way to run a guitar shop.
It doesn't make me feel good, the word planogram.
Guitar shops.
But I've had the same
music stores.
I've had the same amp forever. I have I have an American Telecaster that fucking rocks. The only thing I ever need is strings.
Which you can get cheaper online than you can get at Guitar Center. And many times you can get them the same day you order them.
I just get them when I buy like electric strings. I'll buy like 6 packs of them. Mm-hmm. And I don't burn through them fast anymore.
So you can get them right on Amazon.
I'll do that, or else I'll, if I get off, like where I work and where I rehearse are not that far from each other or from Roseville. So I will go over to Roseville if I got off work on time, and I will grab 4 packs of strings, and I will be like, hey, I'd like to pay for these. And somebody will be like, oh, no problem. And then I'll do that and I'll leave.
Yeah.
But I always go look at the guitars, because why wouldn't you? Nobody ever comes around and asks me if I want to see, and maybe I don't look well-to-do. I don't know. But nobody ever comes over and says, like, did you want to see that Telecaster up there?
Well, no, that's because they're dipshits. Because, like, honestly, you look like a touring musician. You kind of always have looked like a touring musician.
That's always what I've shot for.
If they're arrogant enough to think you don't look well-to-do, then they're literally dipshits who they've never met a real professional musician.
See,
they probably have buddies who've like played a couple shows for 1,500 people, you know, and they have a friend of a friend of a friend who's in after the burial.
right.
So they think they know what it looks like, and they have no fucking clue what they're talking about. Because honestly, if you walked into the store and you're looking around, I'm approaching you and I'm asking you if I can grab you anything, if you need anything. And if you say you're just browsing, I follow up.
Right.
Are you looking for anything in particular? Can I help you find something specific? I understand it's a close-ended question,
Right.
but it's still a follow-up to just browsing. Because usually the question is yes. Or the answer is yes. Like, oh, I'm just browsing. Are you looking for something specific? Well, sort of. I'm looking for ... What do you got?
Yeah.
Now we're having a conversation. Now I couldn't put my hands on a guitar
what's
and
the
hand it to
worst
you.
thing that happens to you? A guy says no,
Well, usually,
which I've done plenty of times,
And
and
they
I've
go-
had said to me plenty of times too.
and it's great when they go, no, I'm just killing time.
Yep.
Oh, no problem. If you change your mind, if you need anything, if you see anything that stands out, let me know.
Right.
It's not fucking hard, dude, but they don't do it. They went to an Apple Store approach,
Yeah.
which is leave me the fuck alone. Everything's bolted down. I'm here to browse and then order it online,
Right.
which sucks. That's the opposite of what we were doing.
Yeah.
That's what Guitar Center is now. It's horseshit. Yeah, dude, the store was dead. It was Roseville. The store was fucking dead. Yes, it was holiday season, but the store was fucking dead.
Yeah.
And Phil Mall was going out of his way to make me wait because I was there to pick up gear for one of his employees on his employee purchase, who's my band member, by the way.
Right.
Which Guitar Center employees can use their discount for their band members. So even if we were trying to do something weird, it wasn't.
Can they do that now?
You always could. It is your band members are allowed to use your discount. You can use your discount for them, is what it really was. And then same thing with your family members.
Yeah, I remember that.
So, and they couldn't come in and buy something
Right.
with your name and discount, but like you could buy something and then it's for my brother. I'm buying this for, and he could come in and walk out with it is the point.
Right.
Like I remember being in and here's my point. I remember being in a band with Kevin Sullivan,
Yep.
the Tyrants. And I remember coming in and buying cymbals for me with his discount.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't a big deal. We did this all the time. As long as like you knew it was legit. Like you
Right.
couldn't do it randomly. So basically here's the point. Dalton calls in and he fucking says, hey, I'm going to use my employee discount. I'm going to buy this gear and my buddy Jared's going to come in and pick it up because I have COVID. So
Yeah.
I can't do this. And I was grabbing shit for Dalton anyways, including groceries and shit. Like that's how the
Right.
whole thing came about, right? Because it
Yeah.
was like, I'm going to be in that area. If I'm going to do this, let's do it all over in Roseville instead of your store, Maple Grove. Because I know Phil's cool as fuck.
Right.
I'm grabbing groceries. It's easier for me. No, Phil was a cunt, dude. He made me fucking stand there, and I'm like, Phil, come on, man. My wife is fucking waiting outside the other store. I was supposed to be able to stop in here. This should have all been on a ticket, dude.
Right.
Like, I was supposed to be able to stop in here, literally grab this, pay for this shit. He's going to square cash me the money later. And, like, I got to go pick up my wife, man. Can we please hurry this up, dude? This ain't cool, dude. And he's like, you know what? Get out. And he walked me out of the store. He walked me that's why, dude, that's why I'm telling you, like, fuck Phil Mall. He's a cunt. Because I wasn't trying to be a dick, and it wasn't really about me. It was like, dude, my
Right.
wife is literally standing out in the cold. It's fucking New Year's Eve. I was in a rush. Like, the store's dead. You're not doing shit. I didn't say all this out
Right.
loud, but this is what I'm thinking. I'm like, I'm in a rush. Like, I get it. You're not making a lot of money off me. You still get freight, right? You still get all that shit
Right.
because they overcharge for freight, right? But like, I'm like, dude, stop being a dick. Just fucking, I didn't even say that. I didn't even say anything. I just said, come on, man. My wife's waiting for me outside of the store. Like, literally, I thought I was going to be able to come in here and ... I'll handle the rest of this later. Just let me get this and get out of here, dude. Come on. And he's like, okay, hold on. And then he like starts, and I'm like, come on, Phil, let's get the, come on, dude. Like, please don't make my wife wait outside. And he goes, you can leave. Get out. And like literally walked me out of the store. Like I was like causing a problem. Like he didn't know me and I was being an asshole. Like it wasn't a fellow Guitar Center employee. Like he doesn't give a fuck about you, your employees, nothing. If you ain't making him and his store money, get the fuck out. Dude, fuck you. That's not what our culture is. Like, remember how it was all about, like, we help you make music?
Yeah.
Like, that was the whole point. Like, we went out of our way to help people, including other employees from other stores.
Yeah.
Like, dude, we would bend over backwards for each other, which was why we were ingrained in the music scene, dude. Ah, fuck Phil Mull, man. If he's cool again someday, then I'll unfuck Phil Mull. But
There
for
you
now,
go.
he can go fuck himself.
There you go. All right, here's your boy now.
Jose Miranda, come on, baby.
2 on, 2
3-run
out.
dinger.
Get some insurance runs. That might actually...
Oh! Beautiful. A bases clearing double. He might even get to 3. Did he get to 3? Looks like he stopped at 2. He stopped at 2. Bases clearing double.
Nice.
That is my boy, dude. I'm telling you, man.
Good
I like
guy,
this
man.
guy. I do think he is going to be great. Him and Luis Ariz, that second baseman we
Yeah.
have, I think he is something really, really special.
Well, Ariz can play. Ariz is like super utility guy, too. He can play everywhere.
This should have been caught. This should have been caught. But again, we've been talking about this all game.
That's
The
a
poor
hard
fielding.
That'd be a hard-ass play.
But it hit his glove.
Yeah.
My attitude is this. If you touch it, you catch it. It hit your glove. You should have caught it.
That's that NFL approach.
Yeah, if it touches your hands,
If it touches
you need
your
to bring
hands,
it in.
you need
Yep.
to catch it.
But that's also how I was coaching baseball. Like if it hits your glove like that, that's something you should have caught. Then we need to work on what went wrong leading up to that point because you were there. Why didn't? And it's usually guys took their eye off the ball. It's usually because he jumped and closed his eyes because he knew he was going to fall, or fucking he runs too hard on the heels of his feet.
Right.
So his head's doing this, and he couldn't really make out that last quarter inch.
Didn't get the jump.
Yeah,
that you should have right away.
Exactly. Like that's what we got to approach there. Because
Or it's also possibly the case of you never should have got to that ball. By making that jump, you touched the ball. You were never going to catch that. By making that jump, you touched
let
the
it
ball.
pass and let
it
your
should have
right
just
fielder
dropped.
catch it.
It wouldn't be a. Yeah, I mean, it
Or your
wouldn't
right
have had
fielder
a.
feel it. Whatever. I see what you're saying.
It's better to try to make the play, especially in this situation where you were only down 1 run.
Yep.
But because you let that ball drop or you bump it with your glove, same result either way. 2 runs are going to score.
I still think he has to make that catch, no matter what. No matter which one of these strategies is the correct one, right? Like
Right.
whether you try or you don't, whatever.
Yep.
Because you actually might be right. Like be more conservative. Don't put yourself in a bad fielding position. So let it bounce. You know what I mean? Or back up and
Right.
catch it on the bounce. Because yeah, they might have put that in a spot where we don't score any runs if they handle that right.
Right.
If he's there could have been, you might be, and you probably are right, but I still have, once you made a decision or whatever, if that hits your glove like that, like you have to catch that ball.
Yeah.
You have to, dude. It's for the team, it's for the win, it's for your own personal career, your paycheck, the sports center, the marketing, it's all of it. You know what I mean? Like careers are on the line. Tell me why that guy looks like a fucking mannequin before he moved his goddamn head. Did you see the guy on the right? Next to the manager? He was
sound man
he was
over
like
there
this.
or whatever.
I actually thought he was like a dummy. Like a fucking, like that's the dummy they put the
Dude,
headset on.
I'm telling you, like I couldn't. There's no way I could look cool being like a manager or in the dugout or something like that. Like the amount of time
I disagree. The
amount of time that I spend not looking with like a look on my face, like
I disagree. You're a good-looking dude.
The amount
I've seen
of
you on
time
stage.
I spend,
you're fine.
But I'm planning. I know that people are looking at me then. Like today, this was planned. It was like, dude, put on your Borknagar shirt. You're going to be on YouTube. Like, let's fucking go. Like in a dugout, it would just be the like.
This is a hell of a baseball game.
It is. So.
It's going on too long now, though.
Here's the other.
It's getting too late.
Well, here's the other thing. Oh, that's part of the issue with baseball. But part of the problem too is like, you as a human being, you only have so much capacity for excitement. Now, like you and I are both watching this baseball game together. Now we're together. We're friends watching a baseball game. So that has an impact. Both of us have said we've barely watched a game this year because we've been so busy. So this is like a one-time deal for us. In the grand scheme of things, this game matters very, very little to the overall outcome of the season for either of these two teams. But we can get excited about it tonight.
What is it, like 0.67% each one game?
Something like that. Yeah.
Something weird like that.
Yeah.
Because it's one of 162.
Yeah. So you can generate that level of excitement today. But to try and do that 162 times is exhausting. Yeah. Whereas you can get it up for football all 17 times.
Yep.
Like you can be jazzed. Each one of those games has a huge impact on the outcome of your season.
That's a great point. Like, you're 100% correct.
Every time every game matters.
So I said 100 games. What would you say at the lowest, like 120?
120 probably seems about reasonable. I mean, you're cutting 40 games out of there, so you probably could eliminate a good chunk of. You could eliminate the first half of April and the last half of September. You could be playing the playoffs in September.
I think the World Series should absolutely be done by mid-October.
Yeah. Well, I love the idea that
because in the northern climates, the weather turns too volatile in October.
But I love the idea of like the first week of October being the World Series.
Oh, 100%. That's what I'm saying. Mid-October, you're done.
Yep.
So you can go every other day for essentially up to 2 weeks.
Right.
You see what I'm getting at? You're done by October 15th. We can move on to basketball and hockey. But I actually think basketball needs to start way earlier. Basketball should be a summer sport.
Basketball should start in the summer and end in the winter.
Right. Like right after basketball, right after baseball.
Like when does basketball start now?
It starts right around the same time hockey starts. So it starts in October, basically, is when the regular season starts.
But if basketball started in June, couldn't they wrap it up in like February, like just in time for March Madness to be a thing?
I honestly think they should almost do it like baseball. Like basketball season and baseball season should be summer sports because you play them outdoors in the summer.
Right.
Football, it's too like there's a lot of chill time in baseball, right?
Yeah.
And even with basketball, even though there's not a lot of chill time, like the cardio level's high, the uniforms are so light that like dudes regularly play basketball outside during the summer. Right. It's a thing. So just do that during the summer because it's part of the summer culture. It's like, I'm going to go fucking play pickup basketball game today.
Yeah.
Especially, again, in the northern climates. Football, that's played, and this is where I'm going with this. It's played in the fall for a fucking reason.
Yeah, because it's
so guys
too hot.
Don't overheat.
Right.
Literally. Like, they actually organized that to happen that way. Baseball,
well,
I'm
dude,
cool
Corey
with.
Stringer died at training camp.
Thank you. So baseball is also designed around the weather. That's brilliant. Right. Basketball and hockey, since they're completely played indoors, they have gotten arrogant about when and how they should do that. Hockey needs to be done, and I mean over, by March. Like first week of March.
Yeah.
Like late February. Like let the fucking Super Bowl happen first, second week of February, and then right after that, like a week later, the Stanley Cup should start.
Does that I don't remember when basketball and hockey like started and finished when we were kids.
They've pretty much always been, right? It's just their seasons get longer. So now all of a sudden...
Well, and the season's longer because of the expanded playoffs, too.
It's not just the expanded playoffs. They've added more teams.
Yeah.
So, they're still only playing 82 games, the same thing they did however many years ago, but there's more teams. So they're not playing as...
so there's
the
more
best
off
hockey
days.
season. The best hockey season I ever seen, and this is what I'm really getting at. Best hockey season that I've ever seen was when they had that shortened 52 game season or 50 game season or whatever the fuck it was, because of the strike. They came back super late.
I remember that.
And it was amazing because every game felt like playoff hockey. So this is all coming back to your original point that you brought up, dude. You said it's hard to keep. We're having fun tonight. High octane, close game, high energy. It's hard to keep that up for 162 games. Also true in hockey at 82. That ends their fucking season in June with the Stanley Cup. Stupid. However, at 50 games, every game felt like playoff hockey. It really did. It was easier to get up and get hyped for 50 NHL games in the regular season than 82.
Right.
Yeah, and I think if they just flip those, I think fucking basketball should be a summer sport. It doesn't make sense to be a winter sport. Hockey obviously is a winter sport, but I think they need to shorten the season. I think they should start a month later, so like start in mid to late November, and they should be done by March.
Yeah.
Like first week of March. Baseball should shorten. Like you said, they shouldn't start until May or late April, maybe.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe you do literally April 30th. I think
or the last week of April.
So April or May at the earliest. Late April, early May at the earliest. And then they should be done with baseball by, like I said, the second week of October. That's my opinion.
Yeah. Well, but the 2020 season with baseball kind of proved that you can't, I don't know, for me anyway, you can't shorten it that much. Because what did they play, 50 games or something like that?
Who's that?
Baseball in 2020 with COVID and all that shit. They only wound up playing like less than half a season and then had pretty much everybody make the playoffs.
Yeah, and it didn't feel right, did it?
No, because again, you can't take something that's it is kind of a tired cliche, but you can't cut a marathon in half. You know?
Well, yeah.
You can't sit there and go like, "Oh, he won the marathon after 10 and a half miles." Like that's not how it's designed.
Sure.
You know? You didn't run a marathon because you ran 10 miles. You ran 20. What's a marathon? 26 and a half?
Something like that. 26.3 or 26.8 or
you ran
shit.
22 miles? Okay, like I can see if somebody said like we're cutting the marathon down to 22. Like it just, people aren't able to do it. I don't know that anybody's calling for this. I'm sure there's a marathon purist out there who's pissed at me right now for saying this, but like I could see if somebody said you have to scale back a marathon, you could go back to like 20 miles, 22 miles, something like that. But you can't say we can't do the whole marathon today, so after 10 miles we're calling it quits and call it a marathon, you know?
Sure.
It's the same. I think it's the same thing with baseball is just you can't sit there and say we're only going to play 50 games this year. Like, figure it out. Unless you come up with some elaborate round robin style.
It does feel way too
tournament
short.
Shit. It's not
50 for baseball, and I don't know why. There is something to the nature. Nice pitch, 100 miles an hour. It was low and inside, and he was expecting. Sorry, my bad. The batter was expecting something on the outside edge.
Yeah.
So you can see him leaning forward here. Let's see if we can get this replay going. I doubt this is going to work. Oh, we missed it. Oh, here it comes. So see how he's leaning forward? He was leaning forward for two reasons when you see him step forward. So two things were happening there. He was expecting that to be a ball and get the walk, but also all of his weight was leaning forward on his tiptoes because if he was going to swing, it wasn't going to be at that part of that plate.
Well, and when you lean forward like that, and that pitch lands where it does, and you feel it scrape your shins, you're pretty sure it's a ball, except that you're basically standing in the strike zone now.
Yeah. That's an easy out. Nice. Routine fly to left center. That's more left field, but whatever. This guy seems like he's actually got his shit together. Who is this?
Johan Duran.
Oh, this is the free agent we signed, isn't it?
Yeah,
I replace him in the show every year.
He's been quite good.
So in that video game I've been telling you about all night, I replace him. I'm out because I come up as the rookie out of the minors. I replace the setup guy. Yeah. He must be the closer that comes behind me until I earn that promotion.
Oh, sure.
Every time I've done it, because I don't see anything. That's the point. In the game, you don't sit there and watch the whole baseball game. You can make it do that, but I don't. I literally just it's like, hey, you've been asked to come in as this guy, and I come in and I pitch my pitch, and then when I'm done, I'm done.
Yeah.
And usually I just get to closer pretty quick, and then I don't even know who my setup guy is. Unless I go look at who my own setup guy is, which I don't, because I don't give a fuck. It literally doesn't matter.
Right.
And that is not just me being a video game player, but literally it doesn't matter who your fucking setup guy is if you're a closer. None of that matters. It's your job to come in and get the last 3 to 6 outs, period.
Yeah.
I just wish they would allow me to play 6 innings or 6 outs. I want to just be my own setup guy. Take my setup guy, push him into the 7th inning. That means you only need one reliever before him, and you only need 5 solid innings out of your starter. If he can get you 6, you're only burning 3 pitchers per night. You're going to get a lot of work out of your bullpen for that. You can even spot start guys out of the bullpen.
I mean, that's always that's always been the baseball ideal, is you get 7 innings out of your starter, and then you have setup and closer.
Which that hasn't happened since the fucking 80s on a regular basis.
There's still guys who can do it on a fairly regular basis, but they're fewer and farther between.
Right.
Which is why you see more of the opener thing that Tampa Bay started doing however many 4 or 5 years ago.
Which is what?
Where they have a relief pitcher come pitch the first inning.
So they can get a starter deeper into a game?
Yep. So they'll have a relief pitcher come out and pitch an inning or 2, or they'll have a guy start with the intention of him only going 1 or 2 innings. It's kind of an extension of the concept of the bullpen game, from which, we've all seen before on a Sunday, especially on a Sunday or something.
Before you finish this, you're allowed to have a certain amount of pitchers. You're not required to have 5 starters. You can go down to 3 starters.
You can have as many starters as
it's a certain amount of pitchers on your roster.
Yeah, you can have X amount of pitchers on your roster. I think it's 16. So Tampa Bay there used to be, when people would have a bullpen game, it was basically the long reliever starts, he goes 3 innings, the other long reliever comes in, hopefully he goes 3 innings, and then you're back to that 7, 8, 9 situation. A lot of times it didn't work out that way, and you wound up using 9 pitchers in that game. But what Tampa Bay started doing was having somebody who comes out to pitch the first inning or 2 of a game. Not like a closer. You wouldn't use your closer in that situation. You're not looking for that fireballer, mow them down kind of thing. Also, you want to have your closer available for the 9th inning if there is a closing situation. But they'll do that and have a guy pitch 2 innings and then bring somebody in who is supposed to go 5. Then you can get, I think the idea is that you're using somebody fresher earlier. I don't know how best to explain it, but that you've got a guy who you can get 2 innings out of, get those 2 innings right away, and then let the guy who can go longer settle in.
I mean, it actually does make sense. It's kind of like when we were booking shows, right? And then the scene kind of died off because we didn't have enough dope-ass bands, and then shit got weird with everything. So I stopped booking shows. I was talking to Moog about this. Moog was just on the podcast last night. And I was like, Greg, do you remember when I booked this show, blah, blah, blah? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, and you remember I asked you to play second? And you were like, come on, man, we can. And I was like, no. That is direct support because we're headlining. The 4th band is not a headlining band.
Right.
They're closing. So we have an opener, direct support, headliner, and a closing act.
Yep.
And dude, when we got done, that place was fucking empty as the 3rd band. And that closer was an absolute closer. And I would tell them that. I go, listen, dude, your job is to literally play as everyone's leaving for the night.
Yeah.
So we, as the Tyrants, would be this crazy, high, loud, fucking upbeat rock band. And then I would always book that last band as something like chill or completely different. So one night it was a hip hop act. The next night it's like this psychedelic improv fucking jam band. You know what I mean? Because it was like their closing act.
Right.
They're literally wrapping the night up for everybody, including the fans that are paying their tabs, the musicians who are loading out their gears, most of the waitresses who are going home and counting out their tips. And I would tell them that. I was like, you are not the headliner, just so you know.
Right.
This is not a headlining bill. It's a closing bill. And I'd have to re-explain this. It lasted for a couple years before people kind of caught on. And that's already gone away. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's already gone away.
Everything now is just, you go see the band that your friend is in. At least at my age, anyway. I mean,
100%.
I'm sure for the 20-somethings, there's still some kind of community thing going on. But for us now, it's
sort of. It's like, weird, dude. Like,
this is what time we play.
You should come out to a show with me sometime, man, because there's some fucking really great young bands. And I mean great young bands. There's a few of them, dude. Because I know you're a rock guy like I am. We're both metal dudes, too. Obviously, you were in Cold Colors. I was in Dying Euphoria and Solace. Right. It's just like, both of us are metal dudes. Probably even at heart.
But we're also a Borknagar shirt.
But we're also rock guys. Like, you're in a rock band. I've been in rock bands, right? Dude, there's this band in town called Uncle Daddy.
Yeah.
And they are fucking breathtakingly good.
Yeah.
Because they're just a straight up rock band, but no one in that band is even remotely a weak member of that band. They're just all super fucking dope at and nobody's blowing your mind with shreds. They're just so fucking good at what they do. It's kind of like, do you remember The Band?
Yeah.
They're kind of like that.
Oh, nice.
Like, they're just that fucking good. Like, so the drummer's just like kicking it and you're like, oh my God, he's good. And he's just like kicking it, you know? The fucking guitar players are just chilling, and their chemistry on stage with each other, and like, they're all just, I'm telling you, dude, you'd love them. They're honestly, man, I said this before on a podcast and I'll say it again. I think if you put a gun to my head and you asked me who the best band in town was, I'd tell you it's Uncle Daddy.
Nice.
It could be bands like By the Thousands. It could be some other bands in any genre. But I actually have a comfortable ability to go, no, if I had to put like some crazy shit on the line, like I'd bet my chips on Uncle Daddy because they are that good. Yeah, you definitely got to come out and check them out with me sometime.
I will have to do that.
There's also like an 80s metal band, original.
Yeah.
They're young, they're kids, called Stormbreaker.
I think I've seen them.
Really?
I think I saw them.
Yeah, they shred. There was a band in town called Revenant Soul.
I've heard of them.
But they broke up and they were breathtaking.
Yeah.
They were incredible. They actually just put out a record with Wally.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, Wally produced their latest record. Via. You might like Via.
Oh, I know.
Vobeda.
Isn't Colin in that band?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Colin, the drummer.
Yeah.
Yeah. He just joined them, actually. And that's another great band in town is The Issue. He's also the drummer of The Issue. They're not really from town, but they're from town now. They're actually originally from up north.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, they're one of the few bands that did it the old way.
Yeah.
They started as a cover band.
Oh, sure.
And their name has always been The Issue.
Oh, right on.
And then they started slowly working in their own originals. Like, they literally just like went, oh, what is nobody doing right now? Let's do that. And they completely flipped the script. And dude, they actually have some really great momentum going with them too. In fact, with Colin being in both those bands, I think Via is the bigger, more popular band now, with maybe even a little bit more clout. But I think The Issue actually has the longer career trajectory, just because the age of the guys is so much younger.
Yeah.
Like, they're in their early fucking 20s, dude. I think Colin is the old guy in the band. They're fucking their new guitar player.
Yeah.
The other Colin, the new Colin in The Issue. Have you seen them recently? No. This fucking kid is a bona fide star. Dude, you got to come out to a show with me sometime, dude. Next time The Issue's playing, especially if I can get The Issue and Uncle Daddy on the same night.
Yeah.
I'm usually guest listed on those shows.
Yeah.
So I'll pull you out, dude.
Yeah, let me know, dude.
Dude, the Issues new guitar player, Colin, he's their lead guitar player now. I'm telling you, dude, he's a bona fide fucking rock star, dude. Like, he's so good, dude. It's ridiculous. He's got all the attitude and the stage moves and the facial expressions and the chops to back it all up.
Yeah.
He's great, dude. I love that kid.
This is the other thing that happens in baseball.
The end of the game takes fucking forever.
Yeah, this is kind of like there's no momentum right now. It's 6-3. So, but I mean, by all means, you play. You keep trying to add those rounds. You keep trying to add those. You keep playing. You keep playing the game the same way you played it the whole time. It's one of the issues I have watching the NFL anymore is that I constantly watch teams not do what they did through the first 3 quarters to wind up allowing 14 points in 4 minutes so that there's a need for a 2-minute drill.
Sure.
But you sit there and you just go like, come on, dude. Swing at that pitch. I want to go to bed.
Dude, that's what Kevin brought this up. You know, Muff.
Yeah.
We were hanging out watching the basketball game while the Timberwolves were in the playoffs. And, dude, he's like, the thing I can't stand about basketball is like literally the last like 30 seconds. The way they stretch
takes an
it
hour.
out. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just so fucking foul and free throw and foul and free throw. It's just such a tedious bullshit the way the game is like moving at this excellent pace.
Yep.
And then it just comes grinding to a halt. And this last half of an inning, or literally the last actual inning,
Yep.
or the last 30 seconds of a basketball game, just take way too long. Like, yeah, I just want to go to bed at this point. And I know I can't go directly to bed.
Right, yeah.
It's going to take me a little bit to calm down.
Yep.
But I got shit to do tomorrow, dude. It's like, I can't be up till Why are you starting baseball games in the Midwest at 7:15? This should be a 6 o'clock game.
I don't know. Like that's the other thing. Baseball is still locked into the same idea of primetime TV from when we were younger.
Right, but it's not on primetime TV. It's on cable.
Primetime TV was, it ran till 10 o'clock when the news came on. And like, I don't even know what time it is. It's 10:30.
Yeah, 10:20. But yeah. It's like this game should have ended 20 minutes ago.
And you can't not watch this half an inning because you know what could happen.
Right, easily.
Like, so I can't just leave and be like, the Twins won. We've all walked out of a stadium and heard the comeback on the radio, right?
So is this our actual closer?
Pagan?
Emilio Pagan?
I would say so.
Or did we bring in our closer in the 8th to shut their shit down? The
closer, like the actual closer role is less concrete across Major League Baseball. Much like starters who can actually give you the full, 7 innings. The closer, who is always the closer, is not as much of a thing anymore. There's usually, or for a lot of teams, there's 2 or 3 guys who will get called on in save situations. There's usually there's usually a rotation. There's usually a lead running back, but there's a committee to some extent.
I did start noticing that in the show, and it's obviously not just for depth and backup, because I did start noticing in the show there's a lot of teams that'll sign like 2 setup guys that have kind of the same rating.
Yeah.
And then they'll sign 2 closers that kind of have like not the same rating, but like kind of in the same world. Like maybe one guy's got like an overall rating of like 92 or 93, and then the next guy's got like an 85 to an 88.
Yeah.
It's like they're not the same, but they're like either one of these guys is a competent closer, and maybe one's a righty and one's a lefty. So now they can
part of it's that, part of it's
based
about
on
usage
lineups and shit again.
Part of it's about usage. You can't have.
That's a nice catch. That was a beautiful fielding. Did you see this?
I did.
This is a beautiful fielding play by a pitcher. Being a pitcher is the most dangerous position in baseball. It's rare.
It is.
It's rare, but I'm throwing something at you 100 miles an hour right here is a great pow. The way it comes right back at you, the composure you have to have.
Yep.
Like it was a big deal to come over the top and complete your pitching motion, and your right leg's coming over
into a defensive position,
and then
right
immediately turn around and be able to. And dude, I can't tell you in Little League Baseball even how many times I caught balls right here because I threw the pitch and it would have literally broken my face wide open. Like, broken nose, fucking, it was crazy how many times that happened. My favorite one is you throw that pitch, your right leg comes over the top, you go down, he hits it, and your whole momentum's going this way, and you catch that ball behind you because he hits it, but your momentum's already going there. So it's like, it looks like a rock star move, but it's kind of luck based on the momentum you already have going. And then you just happen to put the glove in the right spot. Uh-oh. That's a home run. That's gone.
Yep.
That's gone. You can hear it. You can hear it when it comes off the bat. A perfectly clean dinger.
Yeah.
You can always hear it. Yeah, and like you said, we can't stop watching because this is exactly what we just talked about. They're only down
and
by
then
2.
you watch it, and then you're just deflated. Like, again, the nice thing.
It's a double yoke day.
So the nice
it's a double yoke day, Glenn. I had 2 double yokes today. We're getting this win, baby.
The nice thing about the 162 game season versus the 17 game season is that we can be deflated, but then we can go, yeah, but
it's one of
162, you know.
But we only get to do so many sportscasts together because we're both busy men. So let's get the double yoke day.
The double yoke
double yoke day. Let's get this win.
I like that.
Oh. Yeah, I got like the clover leaf of egg yolks.
I know, that's insane.
That's what I'm saying. We have to get this win.
We're 1 out away.
Because the loss today for me, where everything didn't go perfectly, was we were a little late. Yeah, and it was a little wonky getting started. But once we started, man, I've had a great time with you tonight. Honestly, this was a blast. This is even more fun than the first time I had you on the podcast.
Good.
Which I think I am better at doing this now. I think the setup is also better over here too. But I
feel good about it.
We should definitely do this more this year.
Yeah.
Like, I think this will be cool as fuck, dude. We should definitely figure out a way to do this more. And if I really get balling this summer, like if the trajectory I think I'm on ends up being real, I should have some extra fundage at some point in time.
Nice.
Here's what I want to do. So I have a gazebo out back that I built.
Yeah.
I didn't build it. I don't know why I said that. I have an area that I set up for it. And then we have an outdoor TV that I can put up.
Oh, nice.
And I want to you and I should pretend we're like, we'll get the outdoor baseball vibe.
Nice.
Is what
I like that.
Is we'll set up out there. We'll do like a during the day, midday baseball podcast while we're doing exactly this. And since you don't drink, we'll do like iced tea or lemonade or something. I'll do fucking margaritas.
Yeah.
And we'll fucking do exactly this, but we'll do it outdoors so we can get that outdoor baseball vibe. Dude.
Yeah. Daytime baseball is a glorious thing.
My real goal, though, is for us to become so popular we get invited to the Saints to fuck with them on broadcast. Like,
go fuck with the Saints.
Yeah, give us the 6th inning.
Oh, baby. Bring Miranda back down for it.
No,
got one stipulation. It said Jose Miranda comes back down for this.
We'll only do games with players that we want to cover, right? So we got to wait until they have the next great minor league hope that's going to save the franchise, right? Wait until this next crop gets up.
Yeah.
See that callback all the way back to the beginning of the podcast?
Here we go.
Come on, we got 2 outs. Let's go. Let's go home. So Miranda's playing first base, huh?
Yeah.
Why is it stuck on me? That's weird.
I don't know.
There we go. Sorry about that, guys. I just realized you've been staring at me, staring at my fucking inside of my arm for an hour. I love listening to guys incorrectly predict how to pitch It cracks me the fuck up.
See, that's
because I didn't even play in the majors, and I'm usually better at this than they are.
There's another tricky thing I think for
that's a great pitch
for the announcers, but also for people watching the game, is that these guys bat once every 9 batters.
Right.
So when you talk about how Isbell has turned on 2 fastballs and hit line drives, those things happened hours apart from each other.
True.
So
it's literally also based on not just what that batter has done, but he's been watching how this pitcher or any pitcher has been approaching the entire lineup.
Right. But I'm saying for the purposes of explanation, in any other game, hockey, basketball, football, when a running back in football runs a certain way, when a blocker misses a block, when a defensive player does, you get to watch them do basically that same thing again right away.
Sure, the next play.
Yep, whoever the quarterback is always out there. You're going to see that throwing motion again, whatever the problem was. Where you're not going to see, you're not going to see Isbell bat against. Or you're hopefully not going to see Isbell bat again tonight. Actually, I think that's pretty much impossible at this point.
Oh yeah, unless we went like deep into extra innings, and I don't think I can stay up for extra innings. I got to be back at the deal.
I know I got to be at work
at 7 a.m.
I got to be at work at 8. So
yeah, I was scheduled at 9, and I told them I'd show up at 7 because they need help, right? And like I'm kind of running that whole faction of the deal that I'm doing.
Yeah, I know.
So I was
that
like, yeah,
feeling.
I'll be back at 7. So even if I'm a little late, I kind of like, I'm not late. I'm still an hour and a half early. You know what I mean? Like whatever.
But still, I feel like we can get out of this jam here, Pagan.
This is not even a jam. You just need to get this guy out.
Yeah.
This isn't even a jam yet.
Well, and you remember
now it's
force at any base, guys. Base.
One ball.
Any base.
If this goes to 3-0, it's officially a jam. Because you're only one pitch off from ruining everything.
That's pretty much true.
If he goes 2-1, we're still not in the jam. If he goes 3-0, we're fucked. That's a strike. And you're not going to give it to him. That was a strike. Maybe not in the grid, it's not a strike, but in like real perception life, that's a fucking strike, dude. You got to give him that one.
Real life strike right there.
That's in the grid, dude. You got to give him that one, man. It's a little low, but that's pretty healthy. Yeah, this is officially a jam.
Because you basically have to throw this right over the plate.
Yep. And we knew nobody's going to swing at a 3-0 pitch ever. You just can't do it. It's baseball blasphemy. You're never swinging at a 3-0 pitch. You'll never see it happen. I've never once seen it happen in the majors. Have you?
Oh, I mean, you get a guy like Albert Pujols in his prime hitting right here. You might give him the green light, but a lot of the times those guys.
I don't even think I've ever seen that.
A lot of times those guys might have the green light to swing on 3-0, but they just don't do it.
Fair. Same thing.
Because they're like, because a guy like, let's take Pujols in his prime as an example. Like a guy like Pujols is going to be like, not unless that thing is a batting practice fastball.
Right. And I feel like at 3-0, you've already decided, unless it's, but that whole process, there is no unless it's when you're batting, right? It's just too fast.
Right.
Like
I don't think people understand that about baseball.
You're either pure reacting or you're pure thinking. Like you're either predicting a pitch and looking for it or you're pure reacting. And he struck him out to end the game. That's a win, baby. Holy shit. He was expecting a breaking ball.
Struck him out looking.
With a fastball, not down the middle, but damn near down the middle. Clearly, the batter was looking for a breaking ball out of the zone. Clearly, he was waiting for this ball to foul out. Look, he's expecting that to drop completely out, and it didn't. So I want to know, because there was movement. What was that, a fucking bad slider? Like, look at the movement here. There's movement. Or is that like a...
Was that 3-2 count?
Yeah.
How do you?
So he was down 3-0.
Well, I know
came
that.
Back to strike him out.
How do you stand there and look at a 3-2 pitch right there.
Because he's expecting that to be a breaking ball. And with the movement, it looked like that breaking ball.
You should be expecting to figure out how to foul that off.
Yeah, no, you're right. You still swing. You know it's out of the zone or could be or whatever. You learn how to follow it. You're right.
You got to be that's got to be a mile out of the zone. You got to try to make something happen with it. But.
Dude, to be down 3-0 and come back and strike a motherfucker out. That is a fucking impressive win. All right, let's wrap this up, buddy.
Yes, let's wrap it up.
You don't have your baseball podcast anymore, so people cannot technically follow you.
Nope.
But they can follow you on Facebook. Yeah. It's just Glen Wadie, right?
Yeah.
I think you're the only Glen Wadie on Facebook, too.
Probably in the world.
Maybe.
As far as I know.
Either way, yeah, they can search you. You're a pretty recognizable guy.
That's me, baby.
All right, well, let's do this again, man. This is a fucking blast.
Yes, dude. This is a lot of fun.
Whether we do
Thank
it
you
outside
for having
or not,
me.
man, no problem, brother. And I'm glad we were able to make this one happen. I refused to cancel on you. I was like, man, I might not be able to make it tonight. I might have to push it.
Dude, honestly, every time that I plan anything, I pretty much wait for somebody to cancel it. And like when I got that text from you the other day when you're like, I kind of picked up this gig in the afternoon. I'm like, sweet. Now I don't have to do anything.
Well, it is Friday night. So for most people, they get to have their weekend.
I know, yeah.
I'm working tomorrow. I work all fucking day today. And
I was off today, but I work all day tomorrow and Sunday. So
yeah, I'm working fucking VCon downtown for listeners that have been keeping up lately. I had to get back. I needed more income, but I also wanted to make sure that I was staying in the music business. So I was like, I'm not going to fucking get a job.
Right.
Like no, we're not doing that. So yeah, I'm fucking working the big Gary V Bitcoin fucking cryptocurrency convention this week. And it's cool. I'm meeting a lot of dope people. I get to work with a lot of dope people. But yeah, let's fucking do another one of these.
Absolutely.
We had to make this one up from the opening day that got canceled.
Yep.
That wasn't our fault. That got the rain delay. But yeah, it was basically one of those deals where it was like, even if I'm working today, as long as I can do it, I'm fucking doing it.
Yeah.
So, but we'll wrap this up. Thank you guys. Like, subscribe, share. You guys know the deal. It's the fucking internet. I don't need to tell you what your job is. Please help support the podcast. Blah, 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 blah. Like I just said. Where's my fucking outro on this piece of shit?
I don't know, buddy.
I don't think I have a real outro on the sports one yet. We got to tighten the sports podcast up.